Thanks, Dan.
We hate to be sticklers, but we put the county in a position that
Yeah,
otherwise.
no, that's good. You have, paper, I'm sorry,
No,
do you
you're
have
right.
paper agendas, John?
Yes. What's that, man? Oh, thanks, we've got them here.
Yeah, well, I got one on my computer already, so.
Don't ever say I never gave you some.
Hey, thank you so much.
How you doing, Bill?
Yeah, they can.
No, they can't.
That's the fattest one we've had in a long time.
Whichever one feels like they
And
can.
it may be tomorrow or the next day, I have no idea.
We're short-handed this morning.
I'll tell them tomorrow will be better then.
Okay, thanks. Everything's running, just so you know.
Give one back to Bill,
John.
that he gave me here. Thank you. Everything's running, but
So do these solar, do we have to approve each one of these individually?
You get one, Mike?
you just go from.
I have one right here.
Just do it quite conglomerate. Good morning, how are you?
Hi, good morning. Oh, maybe wait. You do what you want, public comments, you can do whatever you want.
No, that's gotten me into trouble.
Well, no.
Yeah, I can find it. You sent it in with the packet. Okay, one way or the other, I should be able to, okay, yeah. Okay, you bet. Is that boss? Hey.
Every minute's okay.
Sacrificed.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. Sorry we're a little bit late. County Commission meeting of the 13th day of May 2019 is convened. First of all, Bill, could we ask you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And Reed, would you offer an invocation for us today? Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful to be able to bow our heads together this morning and recognize the great blessing that we have of being here and enjoying the privileges and the freedoms that we enjoy. We ask for thy guidance as we discuss and make decisions today, that those decisions might be guided by thy Spirit and that we might enjoy a discussion and understanding of peace and fellowship. We're grateful for the opportunities that we have been given and for this beautiful building we have to meet in and for this beautiful day, and pray for the safety of those traveling today, that they will also be able to come and go and return back to their families in safety this day. We give thanks for all of our blessings and do so humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, both of you. Okay, we don't have any minutes to approve today. We'll go to our departmental reports. Stephanie will, or no, attorney, I'm sorry. Is the
Chad
attorney?
is on his way. He's
Okay, we will start with you, Stephanie. Please come forward. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just wanted to start out with thanking Commissioner Blake for coming out a couple of weeks ago. He drove all the way up and back so that he was able to attend an award ceremony where I was given an award for Victim Advocate of the Year for the state of Utah. So appreciate that. coming out and
I'm glad you
supporting me.
brought that up because I was going to toot your horn anyway.
Oh.
So
So I do appreciate that because I know you left at like 4 a.m. or something crazy like that in order to make it on time because it started at like 8 a.m. So
I'm going to toot your horn just for a second. I'm going to interrupt
Please do.
because this was a really big deal. This was now that I'm on the spot, I can't remember the name.
Anne Frymouth.
This is the Anne Frymouth Award. Anne was the original director of
Prevent Child Abuse Utah.
Prevent Child Abuse Utah. She was an awesome advocate for years for our children here in the state. Anne has since moved on. We have another director now, Gwen Knight, who actually originated here in Iron County with the 5th District Juvenile Court. And Gwen is now the director of Prevent Child Abuse Utah. But Stephanie was in really good company with Representative. I can't remember her name, but she has pushed a lot of legislation to help child abuse victims. It's a really big deal. It's really kind of the Oscar award of child abuse prevention in the state of Utah, and I don't think there's anybody more deserving than Stephanie. Really, it was funny as they started reading some of her accomplishments. It's like, dang. but it's
That's
stuff,
what 17 years get you. It's been a long time.
I've been with Stephanie for 17 years and watched her and worked together hand in hand with her every day, and she deserves every bit of it. It was awesome. It was very cool.
Thank you. It's kind of interesting because I remember when I started out on my journey of working with victims and families, I remember working along with Anne and watching her at different trainings and different programs that she'd put on, and I remember thinking to myself, when I grow up, I want to be just like her. So it was quite an honor to be able to accept an award on behalf of her name, and so I'm pretty humbled by it and very, very grateful. So I appreciate that you came up to support me in that as well. Things at the center are well. Our VOCA grant is getting ready to be renewed again. That's the one that pays for most of my victim advocate, a large portion of their salaries for the victim advocates, as well as all of our mental health therapists as well. And that's a 2-year grant, and so that had to be renewed. The previous grant that I had written was a little bit over $500,000. The one that I wrote for the next 2 years is actually 1.3. So I'm actually increasing a part-time staff member is what I'm looking at. Didn't realize that as you start adding more programs and you're having to do a lot more accounting of time and services because it's a federal grant, you have to keep track of all of that. Didn't realize how much of that was going to come back on all of us and as well as my staff. And so I had them keep track of how much time they were using to actually put intakes into a case management system. Also with adding the additional therapist. And so we now have 4 therapists, following up with them, making sure that we've got their paperwork, making sure that we're accounting for all of the services that they're providing to victims and families. Didn't realize, wow, we have another entire part-time position that we have kind of absorbed in. And so as long as we get the funding for this next grant, we'll be able to, move forward, and that position will be completely funded through VOCA 100%. So as well as I asked for some additional funding for Beaver County so that we can also get some additional mental health in that area as well. So we should know here within the next month. It starts July 1. So it's usually like the middle of June is when we'll get an announcement of kind of where we're at with that particular grant. So pretty excited about that. One of the other things that this same VOCA grant gave us an opportunity for was they had a certain amount of funding set aside for an awareness campaign. And they had encouraged the Children's Justice Centers from the state of Utah to apply because this awareness campaign had to be a state-based awareness. And so since there's 24 Children's Justice Centers throughout the entire state, they thought, well, what better program than to do that? And that campaign is called Shine. And we're super excited about it because, as you know, we always do our Dancing with the Stars. It's going to be held in November. It'll be the Thursday before Thanksgiving this year. And we are trying to come up with an idea of how are we going to top, the Greatest Showman that we did last year that was phenomenal. How are we going to top that? And so we thought it would be great to incorporate the Shine awareness campaign with our Dancing with the Stars. And so that's what we're moving forward with. Our theme is going to be called Shine. And so excited to work with Fred Adams and Scott Phillips again this year, and just not quite sure how we're going to top last year, because last year was out of this world. So super excited. We've got Deandra Brown from the Five Browns. She's already agreed to come out. She's going to be one of our judges, as well as she's going to do just a really small performance as well. She's an amazing advocate for children. She works currently in the Attorney General's office and still continues to work with our legislators and educate the entire world about what herself and her sisters had went through at the hands of their father, that had abused them for many, many years. And so she just is just a radiant glow of light in regards to show how, resilience, and that you can get better, and, you can make a difference for others later on in life. So we're super excited to have her as part of our program for this year. We've got our fun run coming up this Saturday. And so we're excited about that. I think we're around 250 registered right now. We still have this whole entire week. We'll get quite a few this week come in, and then we also do registration the day of. Our theme this year is Don't Stop Believing, and so it's Don't Stop Believing Victims. So we're going with like a 80s theme for it as well. And so it'll be lots of neon colors and fun tutus and leg warmers, I'm thinking, because people can come and get dressed up. And so it's really fun. We made a change last year because we wanted to involve more kids. We wanted more kids to be able to come to the center and see the center as something that they can associate, something they went with their family, to something fun. And so we had made it so that if kids were 12 and under, then they could just go for $5. So that pretty much just covers their shirt. And it's been interesting because we've had kids, that have had to come back to the center after they've been to our fun run. And they'll walk in and they'll be like, I remember being here. We had so much fun that day. And you can tell that because it's somewhere familiar for them. They've already been there. I mean, it's a scary situation no matter what, but at least it kind of helps a little bit that they're familiar with the CJC before they had to go back and use it for something that they needed it for. And so that's why we felt like changing it to the location of the center. So we start at the center, we end at the center. We have the center open to the public. They can walk through it. They can ask questions. We have educational information out for families, so that way while they're there, they can grab information as well. So we're pretty excited about that. So that'll happen this Saturday. Starts at 8:00. We're usually able to wrap things up by about 9:30, 10. We did not include the quarter marathon this year. For the last couple of years, we've only had about 6 to 8 people participate in the quarter marathon. And, after thinking about it, because we have to buy medals for every age division, no matter what, because we can't predict, who might sign up even the day of. And so it's quite a bit of a cost to support a quarter marathon that we were only getting like 6 to 8 people in. So we went ahead and we kind of axed that out of it this year. So tomorrow we are heading up north to Snowbird. We have our Children's Justice Center symposium that happens every year. It's an amazing training that's put on by the Attorney General's office and the program of the Children's Justice Center. It really is top notch. I think last year, do you remember, Mike, how many Laura was saying? I think it's like around 1,000 people.
Right, it's about 1,000.
It's unbelievable.
1,000 people attend.
And honestly, it's really interesting. I go and I get invited and I get to attend some other trainings across the country. Some with the National Children's Alliance. It's in Washington, D.C. It costs a fortune to go. And, I walk away and I think, wow, Utah's been, whatever they're teaching us, like Utah's been doing this for like 10 years. I mean, Utah really leads the game when it comes to addressing abuse of kids and helping victims and families. And I think it really just shows, where our state is in regards to our leadership. They value families so much that we just kind of lead the way in regards to the nation. In February, we were able to attend a conference in San Diego on child maltreatment, and Stephanie Rainey, one of my staff members, was able to go. And even when she walked out, she was like, it is so interesting to see just where kind of the rest of the country is and where Utah's at. And it's, she was like, we could definitely be the trainers in regards to it because we've been doing it for quite some time. And so we've got the symposium coming up here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The center actually pays for registration for our multidisciplinary team members so that they can attend. Our goal is so they can improve their skill set. And get that education and information that they need in order for them to do the best job that they possibly can do to help these kiddos and these families through this situation. And so we've got that, and then our next event will be in November. It'll be the Thursday before Thanksgiving, so the week before. So
Okay. Excellent. So how many years have you been with CJC?
it will be 17 years. I think it was my higher date. I'm like right at 17 years. So yeah, it's been a while. So things are going well at all of Iron, Beaver, Kane County. Kane County, as you know, we were able to obtain a community development block grant, and we're looking at breaking ground next month. And then we can go ahead and get the brand new center built in Kane County for them because they're working temporarily out of one of the old firehouses. It's super, super, super tiny. Yeah. And the new facility is going to be just absolutely beautiful. And so we're excited about that, and I think it should take about 6 months.
How large will that be? What's the square footage?
It's actually quite big. We've got like 2 different interview rooms. I think we were coming in at about 2,800 square feet. Right. I know they were making some adjustments to it because as we've been in our center, we've kind of learned some things in regards to when you've got different families that you're trying to kind of juggle in the building who are there for different reasons. Some are there for a forensic interview and some may be there for a medical exam. And now that we've got therapists, sometimes some are there to get counseling. And so kind of working on that. So
excellent.
I'll let you know when that date is, and be great if you guys could attend for that groundbreaking out there as well. So anyone have any other questions?
Okay, thanks so much.
Hey, thank you.
Your work is second to none. We appreciate how you take care of our children. Chad's not here yet. Go ahead. Do your part of it.
I don't see Jared.
How are you this morning, Lori?
Good, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should be pretty quick and simple. The first is just a printout of the budget for the Justice Court, and I don't think that bears much explanation. We're in budget, we're on target. But it's there for you to look at, and
Looks
if you
good.
have any questions about the budget, let me know. I wanted to go into that second report, and I've decided to start kind of incorporating this in every quarter, the caseload. So the monthly report for the Justice Court shows us that. And over this time frame, the first 4 months of last year, we are up 500 cases in moving violations, and we're up another close to 500, almost double on the non-moving violations. And I think last month when, not last month, but last quarter when I met with you, I talked about the UHP kind of picking up the slack on the safety inspections or equipment violations. So the non-moving violations and the increase there is due to their efforts. As a matter of fact, I think this weekend I sent you out the citation view, and I mean they're up, gosh, over 200 citations a month, you know, with the effort that they're putting forth, and they've added that other team for the 15. also, even though technically the court shouldn't ever be considered a revenue generator or a source of revenue, the reality is that there is revenue generated. So I just wanted to show you on this very same report that the revenue that's been collected for the first 4 months of this year is in excess of $724,000. 283,000 of that has been dispersed to the state. We've got the, interlocal agreements with the different LEAs and SUU. So the money that goes to the state as well, it incorporates that 283,000, and it's outlined there. It's right at 283, 282.9. So the revenue that's been retained by the county is 441,000 plus. And when I compare that to the revenue that, not the revenue, but the expenses of the court, which have been about 230,000 so far, the reality is, we've got a net gain. I'm sorry, it's 230,000 that we've retained after the expenses so far for running the court. So just for your information. And if you have any questions, if I've gone too fast, just let me know. I just thought that was interesting when I looked at it this week when I was preparing. And I don't know if that's something that's valuable for you to hear.
It is, definitely. Thank you for that data.
Any questions?
Good to know where we are.
Yeah.
No.
We just finished a BCI compliance audit, and that came back with some commendable, so I've concluded that. We've got a statewide warrant project that's our biggest project. We've got just thousands of warrants dating back, and the court is supposed to validate warrants every year, and it's such an ominous project. So this year we've actually divided the warrants because there's paper warrants, basically just your traffic warrants, failure to appear, failure to pay, and then you've got your case files, where people have already been sentenced or judged or maybe didn't show for an arraignment, and there's warrants there. So we've now divided that up amongst all of the clerks, because that's always been kind of a review clerk function, and it's just never worked that one person could ever get through this ominous task. So hopefully that'll be completed and everything validated by the end of the year. Anyway, I don't really have anything much more for you unless you have questions for me. Everything's running very smooth at the court. Just
Appreciate it.
yeah, working hard, and obviously we've got an increase in case, in citations and caseload, so that's a good thing. No questions? You guys make it too easy.
Good report.
Oh, we appreciate it.
Pretty straightforward, and we appreciate your work very
All right.
much, and all
Well, we
those that
appreciate you.
work
Thank
in your
you.
office and the judges, and thank you so much.
Okay, have a great day. Bye.
You too. Thank you. Can we get a hold of Jared? Is he?
Oh, I'm sorry. Jared is sick today.
We have,
He texted me about an hour ago.
okay. Curtis, come forward.
Just messing with you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Council on Aging, glad to have you here, Curtis.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it very much. Just report that both senior centers are doing fine. They're growing, continue to improve. I just put some statistics there, and I know your schedule's full, so just maybe you can kind of look those over, give you an idea of some of what outreach numbers that we were doing in March. One thing that's kind of impressive, I think, is a continued volunteer services that we have. We have presently 78, 80 volunteers. That month they did 500 hours. The state of Utah puts a value at almost $25 per hour of service. That'd be over $12,000. I think the reality is probably half that, but even still, that's quite impressive. It saves the county a lot of money. The other counties, like Washington, they pay all their employees. They don't have the volunteers that we do, and state of Utah people come down, they see what Iron County does for volunteers, and they're they keep telling me all the time they've never seen anything like this. And so that's a real good plus for us. Want to discuss with you the budget a little bit. My biggest concern was that I went over in 2018, and it just absolutely blew me away. All through the year up to November 30th, I was always 4 or 5% below budget, and then in March I got that call, and it just kind of I was just befuddled about it. But in analyzing that a little bit, a large chunk of that comes from a special funding that we get through 5 County. It's called recreation. They give us $6,000, but I have to spend that money, which comes out of my budget. They reimburse us, but the reimbursement goes to the Iron County coffer, and so I don't get it back in my budget. And so with the help of Dan, we got that straightened out for this year, and so that will be good. The other item that went over budget that surprised me a lot was about the food. I thought we were in good shape with that, but apparently they explained that I had some invoices that maybe I wasn't aware of that came in late. But anyway, this is what I'm doing to help curtail that food one. I thought maybe I'd report. One thing, we've always had some big meals, more expensive on holidays and stuff like that. We decided to cut those out except for Thanksgiving and Christmas. That will help a little bit. Also, number 2 there, that Nicholas Distributor and Lynn's Market was where we were getting most of our food. They're a little higher price. And so what we've done, we're moving to the Pearwind Market. And I haven't got Cedar completely on that yet, but Pearwind Market has given us 25 to 33% discount. They also can deliver 3 times a week, which is we were getting old stuff from Nicholas and stuff like that, and so that's a real good deal for us. And also another thing that I was started to, and this is like a report from the cooks. I decided to have them give a report of what they were doing with their leftovers, so like make sure that they weren't overcooking. And so they do a daily report of how much they had left over and what they did with that leftover, and I think that's helping us. And so we'll see if we can't get that in a lot better shape. Anyway, we're also picking up items from Walmart and things like that, watching for sales items. The cooks are really, they talk to me every day about it and things like that, so we're really watching that close.
Right. We appreciate those things in government. A lot of people don't think that happens in government, and sometimes it doesn't. So we appreciate you being cost conscious.
Okay, thank
It's really
you.
important with the people's money.
We'll make sure we get her taken care of. We don't like that. So we are in good shape on budget-wise with our contract with 5 County. That ends June 30th, and that is based on the type of work that we perform, the outreach workers, and we're well in excellent shape to receive all that funding from them. Then another item down there that this is a discussion that we don't have time for here, but I'd sure like an opportunity to maybe visit with you sometime, your convenience, and that is 5 County is asking whether we would like to, what we would like to do about the growth that's coming into Iron County, particularly the seniors. There are more seniors coming of age and moving in, that type of thing. They're wondering if we're interested in purchasing another Meals on Wheels vehicle. Right now we have 5. If we did go something that route, the vehicles cost around $45,000, but our share, Iron County's, would be somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000. And so I guess the bottom line that I'd like to talk about sometime is, where do we want to go with this? We could reach out more, and that's what 5 County's asking, reach out more to bring more people in and help them. But right now we're pretty well maxed out for what we can do for the employees we have, the hours they're getting, our volunteers delivering meals and that type of thing. So if we were to reach out and continue to grow and that type of thing, it's going to cost more money, more employees and that type of thing. And so that's something maybe we want to talk about a little bit. that
While
second.
you're there, what's the present procedure for people to start receiving Meals on Wheels? Do they come to you, or I mean?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I and one other screen them, and there's some specific guidelines that they have to meet, and we're getting more and more stringent to make sure they meet that. One is they have to be over 60. The main one is they have to be housebound, and that doesn't mean on a wheelchair or a walker. That what we want to do, and that's what I explained to them. We want to bring them into the center, and that's where they can socialize with others and that type of thing. So we provide a bus. If the bus can come and get them, bring them in, or a family friend can bring them in, then that if they can do that, then that disqualifies them. And also there's another qualification, that is the location. We can't cover all of Iron County. We just don't have the ability to do that. So if they're in the outlying reaches, and then we don't deliver out there. Particularly Cedar Valley and Enoch, we deliver out there, but some of those areas on the outline we don't. And so those are the qualifications. And now we're starting, because right now our Meals on Wheels are just up to about the maximum. I'm starting to put them on just for 45 days and say, we'll put you on 45 days and then reevaluate it or take you off. And what I'm finding is some of these people have been on there for years, and I think they're taking advantage of the system. So we're reevaluating that very closely.
Well, let's have a meeting after you get some more statistics from your reevaluation and decide
Okay.
what we want to do there.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds great. So and then this next second page there, they did a survey, and I don't think I'll go through that so much. It just shows, this is a survey through 5 county about Meals on Wheels. The survey showed that there's more to Meals on Wheels than just giving them a lunch type of thing, that it helps them to live at home. It's the only person some of them see. It makes them feel safe in the home, and that type of thing. And so there's a lot of unseen services that provides for our seniors out there. The next item, and I've reported this before, we completed a military veterans board in the Cedar, and that's been a huge success. The seniors have just really liked that. We're in the process of doing a military veterans board in Parowan as well, and just about have that done.
That's great.
Next item, the Cedar Center particularly has just grown to the max. You walk in there, it just blows you away to see how busy that building is. We got it full from one end to the other with all kinds of different groups going on. All the mornings are completely filled up. Most of the afternoons are now filled up, and we're getting many of the evenings are filled up with activities. And so this is a good thing. And we've reported about a dance night we have each month. I reported that before. I thought, this will just kind of last a few months and people will kind of fizzle out. Well, I'll tell you, that's the biggest event we have. We get over 100 people attending that each month. And we've had people from St. George coming up, and as far as Ely have heard about it and come. And so that's been a really good thing. Also, a newsletter. This newsletter I handed you, just Commissioner Cousins maybe not aware of this, but this newsletter comes to us with no charge at all. It's a 12-page newsletter, and it's been a real good hit for us. And we have 1,000 printed, and they're all gone by the 3rd week, and so it's well received.
You mail them out, or do you?
What's that?
They just pick them up, or do you
Pick them up, yeah. We put them in the post offices and libraries, doctors' offices, and the centers, yeah. Let's see, the Parowan Center is doing well. It's always a challenge to kind of get them keep activities. We keep working on it. That's kind of typical for smaller towns as I compare that with other counties, and their needs aren't quite as great as having all these different activities like Cedar do. What I really find that why Cedar is growing so much, it's not the locals. We probably have 20% or less local Cedar people. It's people moving in like California and Las Vegas. Those are the ones that are really searching for that type of thing. That's maybe why Parowan has a little more struggle. But we have some great volunteers in Parowan that keep things going and make things happen for us. Next item, vehicles. We have 10 in our fleet. They're all in good shape. We keep them maintained well. Only one I'm having a little struggle with is one out in Burrell. That's an older bus, and we're having to maintain that. And I'm trying to think what we can do, maybe to make a change there or something. I don't know, but we'll just kind of keep doing what we can. And the buildings, they're all in good repair and maintained. One thing might report that's worked out really well for me. I had some problems. I'll kind of always have with my custodian there at Cedar. He's a great man, that type of thing, but just a little edgy. And so what I started a few months ago is to have him give me a report each day of what he does. And man, did that make a difference. And so, that's kind of what he needed. And so every day he gives me a report, and we kind of review that, and the buildings have really stepped up and done a great job through that. We also, after 2 years of planning, were able to remodel those 2 restrooms. They look wonderful.
Good to have that done.
Yeah, it is. It's been a long time working on that one, so it turned out really well. Also, a few months ago, like last November, December, we had a new health inspector come by. They inspected the Parowan Center. And he was just really, really picky. I just never seen anything like it. Just a teeny little chip on the edge of a counter marked us down. Just on and on. It was a huge thing. The previous inspector, just kind of let that go. It wasn't that big a deal. So anyway, we had our custodian in Parowan repair all those. He's kind of a handyman that can do about anything. Mm-hmm. And he fixed all those up. After inspecting the Cedar one, I could see that had the same problem, if not even worse. So I had the Parowan custodian come to Cedar and fix the Cedar kitchen as well, and we painted it and that type of thing. Inspector came back a few months later, couldn't find a single thing wrong with either center. So we're happy for that, and I think that saved us a lot of money too, having our custodian fix it. Let's see. Also, last week we finished our wood floors in both Cedar and Parowan, so they're looking really good, the 2 centers. The Cedar Center had an old dishwasher that was a sanitizer. We've talked about that before, but I got 5 County to buy us a new one. We're in the process of doing that right now. That's like a $4,000 unit, and so 5 County will pay for that for us. And also another concern I've had the last couple of years or ever is in the back of the Cedar Center we have a carport, but it's always dark back there. And if you remember, a couple of years ago or a year ago, we had somebody drill a hole in one of our gas tanks and Meals on Wheels, and then they put a plug in there, so they thought that they were going to steal gas, and that was an $1,800 deal. And so anyway, I finally got those lights back there all lit on that will come on at dusk and off at dawn, and so that looks really good, and I think that'll give us a lot of security back there. And I think that's about all I can think of right now. Any questions?
Any questions?
No, I appreciate your work. The bathrooms look nice, and I'm grateful I'm grateful to work with you and your organization, because it's easy.
Appreciate you
Makes
too.
our job on the commission easy, so we appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your support. We really appreciate it very
Good work,
much.
Curtis. Thank you.
Okay, thanks
Thanks
a lot.
so much. Appreciate that. Really good report. Okay, Chad. I know you're a busy man. We're glad you could make it today.
Sorry for my tardiness. Hopefully I didn't delay.
No, you're fine. We just put you in a different order, so
Oh,
we're
good.
good.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Wanted to start off by giving a brief update on the opioid litigation.
Oh, thank you.
So earlier there was a motion from the manufacturers to try and consolidate all the cases in Salt Lake. That was denied earlier this year. After that, they have since filed a motion to try and change venue from Iron County up north. So that is slowing the proceedings now. Talked to Jason Milne last week. He said this Wednesday they have a hearing on that motion, and they're confident that they will prevail there. So we'll see Wednesday if things will start to move a little quicker. I indicated to him that the commission was interested in having some kind of an update or presentation on things, and he was very open to that. He just asked that we wait until after this week to see where we're at. And I said that I would pass that along.
Okay, that's fine. Appreciate that.
So any questions about the opioid litigation? I think that's pretty much the update. He said, is, to quote him, it's moving at a snail's pace. So hopefully after this week we'll get moving again.
Okay. Why don't you just take 30 seconds and explain to the public what we've done there and what our goal is? And
Sure. So the county has joined with a private law firm in suing manufacturers of different opiates, some pharmaceutical companies, as well as some doctors who were violators in overprescribing opioids that have caused this crisis that we've seen not only in our state and county but across the country. What we're hoping to do is to bring some accountability, much like we saw with tobacco in the 90s. And so that's moving forward. There are several counties that have also joined in these lawsuits, and what we're hoping to do is make them accountable and have them pay for the damages that they've caused to Iron County.
thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Budget's looking good for the county attorney's office. We have, to date, the report that I got from Mr. Jessen is that we are at 27% of our budget, so we are on track to be under budget, which we always want to be. I have some stats to report. These were compiled middle of last week. I tried to get some numbers, but I have some for everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So as of the 7th, last Tuesday, we have about a total of 550 cases that we've processed in the county attorney's office. 166 of those are felonies. 132 are Class A misdemeanors. Those would be our district court caseload. There are about 252 that we have processed through our justice court. And that is a combination of course, traffic offenses and other misdemeanors. We do have a variety of other courts. We have a juvenile court, a drug court, and a mental health court. Those are considered alternative courts. I can say as the drug court, we've had 6 graduations this year, which is always a good thing to see. It's a rigorous program, and sometimes success is not always possible. People choose to withdraw or to quit, but we have had some success recently, and that's always something that we are happy to see, and so that's moving along as well. We've had 13 trials so far. These would be of the bench trial variety, where they elect to have their case heard before a judge rather than a jury. 6 of those have been in the district court, 7 in our justice courts. So our misdemeanor caseload does seem to keep us pretty active. As far as our, let's see here. One of the other things I wanted to mention, as far as criminal forfeiture, we have been able to contribute $18,200 to the general fund. There's 2 different versions of asset forfeiture. One is civil, which is kind of more controversial as of late. There's been a lot of different legislation. What we have elected to do is to proceed for criminal forfeiture through the criminal process, which is we have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the money or the property that was used is proceeds or used in furtherance of a criminal offense, and we've been able to do that. And I think it's a very successful tool in taking money out of the hands of bad guys and putting that money to good use, and that is now in the general fund. My report is very brief today. I just wanted to close by giving a shout out to the staff. I've been doing this for about 5 months now, and certainly could not do it without the good people that work in the county attorney's office. Mr. Edwards, he has been invited by the Attorney General's office to give a presentation this week, in fact, on a case that he was involved in. It's a CJC symposium. It was the Knights of the Crystal Blade. I can't remember what was the name of the defendant in that case. Schaefer. It was a big case, and Mr. Edwards, at the end of last year, he took on a little bit bigger criminal caseload, some of these sex offenses and cases where children are victims, and he's done a great job there. And as a result of that case, he's been invited to present on that case. Jessica Kramer, our victims advocate, she has been nominated and will be awarded this week at the Women's Crisis Center Gala. She does tremendous work, and the community loves her and respects her, and we couldn't do our jobs without her. Shane Clank, Chief Deputy in the criminal side, he's the Utah Prosecution Council has extended an invitation for him to be a trainer for young prosecutors at the basic prosecutor course. So new prosecutors that are hired, they go once a year to this basically boot camp. It kind of gives them an overview, and he's going to be a trainer there. And so we have wonderful people, and they are recognized throughout the state for their efforts, and most of them just quietly do their job and just keep the wheels moving, and I can't say enough good about them. So that is my brief report. Do you guys have any questions for me?
No. We appreciate it.
Try to keep it pithy. So
Good report, thank you, and we
Thank you
commend
very much.
you and your office, Mike. Our congratulations and commendation, we appreciate that, and all that's being done there. And I think our retention program that we put in place a number of years ago has helped very well. And
I think it has.
And we occasionally have somebody leave, but anyway, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Commissioners, do you have anything? Or any other staff?
Really, I got mine out talking about Stephanie's.
Okay, yeah, great. We have great personnel in this county. We're very proud of them and thankful for them. Well, we got a couple of minutes. Steve, this is impromptu, but would you mind coming up and taking a few minutes and telling us what's happened with the flooding, with this exceptional winter we've had, and what the county's issues are, and what things that we've been doing to help with that?
Thank you.
Steve Platt is our county engineer.
I'll start with the good and then go to the bad. Holt Canyon has quit running. It crossed the Bench Road and Highway 18, but we don't have a problem there. We need to get out there and dig some more ditches so that water disperses a little better. Shoal Creek ran pretty high, made it to Highway 56, didn't cross 56. That's out on the Escalante Desert, west of the crossroads. So Shoal Creek and Holt Canyon, they normally run significantly in March, and they did this year. Quichapa has quit running, basically. That water's no longer. Summit Canyon, by this morning, it's run worse. It's not running too bad. It's all clean. So that's a good sign.
Did that ever make it past the retention pits?
It's in the biggest pit at the state yard there. Hasn't completely filled that, but we have provision if it does, so it goes to another borrow area pit.
So we've retained every bit of that then.
Yes, we have, and
awesome.
That's a bright spot.
It is.
Cedar City, we did so much work in 2005. I don't anticipate any issues in the Cedar Valley. It's at 300 CFS this morning coming down the canyon. That gets divided and divided again, and appreciate everything the city's doing there for recharge, Paul. Thank you. Let me go to the northern part. Little Creek has run significantly. It's been black because of the forest fire. It gets down to the freeway. UDOT gets pretty upset, but basically that water is under control. I have to tip my hat to Donnie Roberts, who has done on where he had a pivot in one of the corners, has dug a big pond. He's recharging significant water there. Tomorrow or Wednesday, I hope we can put that water into the pond that we've dug at the mouth of the canyon. Red Creek. As I understand it, the reservoir is completely full and spilling. That's a significant issue when it comes down to the Little Creek Road and Highway between Paraguna and the freeway. That water is across the highway right now. UDOT's dealing with it. Iron County's never done anything with that. It gets across the freeway and goes down towards Chimney Meadows. Thank you, Commissioner Adams, for helping Lamont Johnson and the situation we had there a week ago. But that's probably still the same, just continues to run. And I'm assuming if it runs long enough, it'll make it to Little Salt Lake. But I'm not sure. That's pretty flat out
Hope
there.
not, but some may make it there. But I know Lamont's, it's a lot better off than it was, his situation. So
That brings us to the Parowan Canyon. We got 24 inches of water at Bryan Head. How fast it's going to come down, nobody knows. But today and tomorrow are the warmest 2 days we've had this year. We expect to see some pretty good water later this week. It's going to cool down, so hopefully that'll slow. Curtis is there with our machine on the Parowan Channel, just below Jimmy Ibsen's house, working with Lyle Barton and Rick Anderson. I appreciate those two property owners right there doing all they can with their trucks to haul riprap. We've hauled all the riprap that we had stored at the Little Creek Canyon site to the Parowan Channel, which we had to do Friday to try to keep it from widening. I was just at the Parowan Pit in the mouth of the canyon. As big as that was, it's completely filled with beautiful washed gravel. So we may see some more of that coming down the channel, and I hope it doesn't fill up our flood channel at the freeway.
right.
So the real issue right now is Parowan. And if you can help me motivate Parowan City, I would appreciate it immensely, because the county's been doing a lot, and what we're doing
Talked to
right
them
now
this
is
morning,
in
hopefully.
the city boundary.
I talked to them this morning. Hopefully they're going to have some equipment there today. So.
Good, good. Any other questions?
So, Steve, how much do you think still has to come down off Cedar Mountain to Coal Creek? What?
I can give you a couple of snowtail sites. That's what I watched. There's zero at the Yankee. That's the Parowan Canyon. This is water equivalent in the snowpack, zero water. At the SUU Mountain Center, there's zero water. At Webster's Flat, that snowtail site today has 4.2 inches of water remaining. It's been as high as 25. Midway and Bryan Head both have in the neighborhood of 24 to 25 inches of water remaining. Of course, Midway all goes to the Sevier. Kolob, which all goes to the Virgin, but it's just like Midway basically. It's got 24 inches of water. Those at the higher elevations really haven't started to come yet, and when it warms up, they will. I just hope they come at about an inch a day, and over the next 24-day period, we should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if they decide to come faster than that, we could have some issues.
We had Cedar City. They put some Jersey berries across the channel. We were running almost about 90 CFS into the western pit there for a while. It was long.
Great.
Yeah, it's really it's as full as it's ever been.
Keep it up.
It's awesome. And then right there at the airport split, or the airport where Raymond Prestwich takes some irrigation water. It was starving when he opened up the ditch for the irrigation, the ag folks, it was kind of starving our pond. So we actually core drilled a manhole and ran a new pipe up by the bridge. So we're pulling water before that and filling those ponds by the airport again, and it's working really good. And then Cedar City just dug another long channel right there by 56 on the Horse Alley recharge, another big one, and opened it up. So we have a spillway between the two. So when one filled up, it flows into the other, and then when it fills, it just flows out to Quishpaw. But there's some really neat things going on. So.
But that at the bottom of Horse Alley is basically just tailwater out of the city.
The southwest field.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot going in it.
Good. Do all you can with your recharge there into the western pit. That helps me so I don't have so much out of the regional wastewater treatment plant and cause issues for them. Thank you.
Thanks for that
Thanks,
good
Steve.
report. I read Brian, I think it's McInerney's report, the kind of the state guy that watches the weather and everything. George sent it out to us, and he's basically really happy with how there's been heating, cooling alternately, and so I think it's been a pretty good year, especially with such a big snowpack. Things have worked out pretty well, except for this gouging we're having on the Parowan Flood Channel.
Yeah.
We've handled it quite well. So
To date, it's been ideal. I hope it can stay that way for 25 more days.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll take a short break and then reconvene at about 10 a.m.
Before you start, this is their engagement letter, which they always have signed when they show up on Sunday. Here's this for you. So.
Already approved.
Yeah. And then before you guys all leave, while you're over here, the auditors are going to spend some time with each of you. So before you guys leave, I sent an email to Kim.
Slam today, just quickly. How long will it take?
Shouldn't take very long. And if today's bad, bigger deal than it is. I'm just anytime there's one of you have to like. I'm like, so what should we talk about?
We talking 10 minutes? We talking? Yeah.
All right, thank you. Going? Okay. Welcome back, everyone. We are reconvened. This time we'll go into the public appointment section of our agenda. First of all, we have the public comment period. Anyone is welcome to come forward and make a public comment. If you do so, please state your name and please read the rules on the agenda here.
Name's William Pressgrove. I went to the planning or zoning meeting on Thursday, I think a week ago or so. And I noticed that the members of the commission don't live where they govern. In other words, they're not in the unincorporated area of the county, which they make all the rules for the unincorporated area of the county. And one of the issues that was being brought up kind of violates rule number 15 on your the Principles of Liberty, which says the highest level of the prosperity occurs when there is a free market economy and a minimum of government regulations. They're getting ready to make more regulations just because the state says they can. Let the market bear sway. If these people put up their little stands and the stands fail, then they're out of business. There won't be a stand. This is kind of like one of the things that I come up here, let's make the analogy of a sandbox, okay? I come up here and tell you about some cat poop in the sandbox. And what I get told most often is, well, go check the other sandboxes around, see what they have. And to me, that indicates that they're more interested in keeping the cat poop level in all the different sandboxes versus cleaning the cat poop out of the sandbox so that their children in this area can have more effective lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other public comments? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period. Item number 2, public hearing and possible approval of Peak View preliminary subdivision plat, Phase 3, located in northwest 1/4 of Section 16, Township 35 South, Range 11 West, Salt Lake Basin Meridian. Reed Erickson, our county planner, will give some preliminary explanation of this, and then the public hearing will be open.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. We have, this is Phase 3 of a master plan. I think, John, if you go another slide or two, I don't remember if it was forward or back, but there was a master plan. Well, it isn't in that one. It's a different, the other slides. No, I don't think it's part of that one. But you can see the subdivision plat right here, and you can see where it fits in with the rest of the subdivision with the little map in the circle there in the middle. It's just south of Mid-Valley Estates. It has been a recommended approval by the Planning Commission for Phase 3. This is 20 lots. They're half-acre lots in an R1/2 zone. There have been 2 previous phases to this just north of it, so this is just a continuation of that road to the south that's been put in. It's paved, has curb gutter and sidewalk, and it meets all of the conditions of the preliminary plat. They're working on having the final plat as soon as possible so that they can begin construction on this. So are there any questions?
A couple of questions, Reed. As I was reading through this packet, it talked about there was a letter from Raymond Prestwich from Cold Creek Irrigation
right.
about potential flooding Is that an issue with this?
No, it's not. They have addressed one of the lots, and this is being dedicated to a detention basin to take care of the flooding issues. And it goes off into a flood system, and so that's why there is curb, gutter, and sidewalk in the development that can channel that water and then move it into flood control areas.
I think I'm talking about more of a ditch that goes by the development that could back up and have. Is that how you guys interpreted that?
Yeah, we've had that letter through all of these phases, and the same concern that Raymond always brings when there's an existing ditch in the area, you know, that could potentially overflow and flood. But they're aware of that. The irrigation company isn't currently using that ditch.
Okay.
And so it's more when flood waters get into it, if that's a concern. And so the developers are aware of that and are trying to take care of that flooding issue and any off-site water that could come on-site.
The other question I had is, it mentioned they were going to try and tie into the Cedar City sewer line.
Yes, they are required to tie into the.
What's our arrangement with the city?
We have an interlocal agreement to connect. This area is fed like phase 1 and phase 2 above it, and the development to the east at Parks at Deer Hollow. They feed into a pump station that then lifts it up to 2300 west, which is the main line going out to the sewer treatment plant. So they coordinate with Cedar City for the use of that pump station. They pay impact fees for the pump station and for the sewer or when they connect into that. And so that's all part of the requirement of tying into the sewer. They're also on water is being provided by the Water Conservancy District. So they have water and sewer. And
is there any impairment of the irrigation ditch by the subdivision?
Not a current there's not current use of that irrigation ditch for irrigation.
But the channels will remain open, so
yes.
it can carry water. Okay,
yeah.
Great.
Or at the time that they get to it, it's not actually where this phase is. This is further to the south, and so when they had in the master plan, they've got a whole master plan for the whole property, and this is just working its way through it. That ditch is further to the south, and then when development occurs on that where the ditch actually is, then it'll either remain through for a ditch or be piped or whatever is necessary to accommodate that need.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, thanks so much for that explanation, Reed. Public hearing is open. You're welcome to come forward with any public comments you have regarding the Peak View preliminary subdivision plat phase 3.
I'm Russell Reber, the developer on that project. Just like to clarify a little bit more about that ditch. So the ditch hasn't had any water running through it since I think 1964, but you know, I know how we are with the ditch laws around here, so we do have it open. We actually have dedicated a 15-foot easement that ditch comes through, so we're able to get through there, clean it out. We have one detention pond already built that for any excess water that'll go into that detention pond has a pump, so we can control the level of water in there and what it's doing. And as Reed stated, the next phase we'll put we've dedicated an actual lot, have already got a pond or retention pond there also, so we're definitely aware of that and making sure that we're not going to have any problems in the future on that. So it has been addressed thoroughly. So thank you.
Thank you for that information. Are there other public comments from the public for this public hearing? Last call. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion regarding the approval.
I'll move to approve the Peak View preliminary subdivision plat phase 3 located in the northwest quarter, section 16, township 35, south, range 11, west Salt Lake Basin Meridian.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the Peak View preliminary subdivision plat phase 3 located in the section as delineated. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much. We'll sign the. I'll come down. good to see some activity. I remember before the downturn, we had subdivision plats aplenty, and then we haven't seen. Seemed like the subdivisions that were in place before the downturn have finally started to fill up, and so we're having some new subdivisions. It's good to see this in the county. Moving on to item number 3, ordinance number 2019-4, creation of Sunset Subdivision Road Improvement Project Assessment Area, located in the section within section 31 and 32, Township 36 South, Range 12 West, and sections 5 and 6, Township 37 South, Range 12 West, Salt Lake Basin Meridian. This will be evaluation of the protest count and determination to designate or abandon the proposed assessment area. Reed Erickson, our county planner, will also be speaking to this.
You'll recall that 2 months ago we held a public hearing on the creation and consideration for the Sunset Subdivision Road Improvement Assessment Area. That began the 60-day protest period. The protest period ended on Friday the 10th at 5 o'clock. As of that time, we had 12 protests, which are 20.7%. We put that online on the county website as required 5 days prior to this meeting, and there haven't been any protests since that time. So we are reporting that it does not have sufficient protests to keep the development from or the assessment area from being created. You have an ordinance in front of you that was prepared by Adam Long, who is attorney with Smith Hartfixon, who we've used for a number of different specialized items like this. And Adam's here today, and he'll be presenting significantly on the other EDAs and the solar projects. But he prepared this ordinance if you are inclined to create the district, the assessment area. You have the option of creating the assessment area based on the fact that it didn't receive adequate protest to stop it. You'll recall in the beginning, and just for everyone's information, this item came before the county because an application was submitted by the homeowners association representing more than a majority of the properties out there. There are 58 properties in this assessment area proposal. And so there had more than half sign that they were in favor of doing this assessment area, which is an improvement of the roads in that subdivision to a chip seal, county chip seal standard, and take care of the drainage problems that they have out there. The estimate for that was done by the county engineer. Each property owner was sent a certified letter notifying them of what the assessment amount would be for them, which included a contingency for construction, and it also included a 15% overhead for the county to take care of legal fees and creating the legal framework for assessing the properties. And so when that was sent to each property owner, it was notified in the paper 4 consecutive weeks before we held the public hearing. Since that time, all we've been waiting for is this protest period, the 60-day protest period, which concluded last Friday. So now it's up to the commission to determine whether they want to, based on the fact that there wasn't adequate protest to stop it, based on the application and request from owners of the subdivision to create this assessment area, to go forward and to create the assessment area, or not. It's
An
your
adequate
determination.
protest is 40%, is that correct?
It would require 40% protests or 24 protests. So there was only about half as many as they would need in order to stop it. The next step, if you decide to create the assessment area, is that we would immediately go to bid, get a firm price on the construction, get the project constructed, get the improvements done, and that's been their interest in making that happen during this construction season so that they can get the improvement in this summer. Steve Platt, county engineer, has been working on that and has a source for gravel and some of the sources there to make that happen in the event that we were ready to move forward with this. after which we have a concluding price from construction, then we would create the legal mechanism to assess the properties, create the board to oversee it, and Mr. Long would help us with the legal framework for that. And we would do that after we have a final price based on going to bid and knowing exactly what it's going to have, what the price is going to be. The price has to be less than what we estimated that it would be in order to move forward. We can't have a bid and they're all a lot higher and we go forward anyway. We can't exceed the estimate that we had given out in the legal notice and what has been publicized as what the assessment would be for the property. So it would have to fall within that.
What if the RFP came in higher? Would you just have to start over?
Yeah. We would either rebid it or try to take some improvements out or something to redesign or do something that would bring it down. So it couldn't go forward at any higher level than what has been advertised. Any questions? So your decision is to determine whether or not to go forward with creating the district as petitioned by the applicants of the property, and since there was no protest, you can do that. It would just require the approval of this ordinance.
Just a comment. I read all the letters of protest, and I really do feel for people that are in fixed incomes, and this is going to be a hardship financially. But I've also driven those roads. I can't imagine living there and doing that every day. I would think over time, just the maintenance savings on your vehicles would probably pay for this.
Yeah, I think there are, and I'm glad you brought that up. I think it's good to mention the benefits that this will do for the area. I think there are 4 areas which, or at least 3 that I think we could articulate as benefits to going forward in creating the assessment area. Right now they have significant damage to some of the roads because of flooding this winter or this spring. And they've lost, some of their channels, and it's done a lot of erosion and created some problems for driven out there a couple of times while the water was running, and you had to drive through the water and you didn't know how deep it was going to be, and it's not desirable from just a safety standpoint in trying to get out there. In addition, this would then allow those roads to be accepted by the county and maintained by the county. The Homeowners Association currently assesses each property each year for the maintenance of those roads. And that wouldn't have to continue anymore. They wouldn't have that assessment for the Homeowners Association because that's been their sole function, is to maintain their roads. This would also provide an avenue for mail to be delivered to the area. The postmaster had told them that they had petitioned the postmaster to have mail delivery, and he said, we're not coming out there until those roads are paved. And so that would allow that to happen. They also have garbage service in that area, and it just provide all of their services, a much cleaner, safer, nicer, dust-free situation out there. Would certainly increase their property values by the improvement that would be put in there. So some may want that, some may not, but it would be an improvement to the property and the area.
I'm always concerned with anyone that protests, and I think, if it was over 30%, which isn't still enough to kill it, but I would worry way more. But at 12%, I think
20%. It was the protest amount. 12 protests.
Oh, 12
which was
protests, 20%. Even that at 20%, that there's an overwhelming majority, and I think it's something I would recommend that we approve this and move forward with it.
Okay. Well, I would make a motion to approve Resolution 2019-2, the ordinance.
Oh, you got the old one.
Okay,
Sorry.
there we go.
Yeah.
I was going to say that didn't sound right, and plus I didn't have my glasses on, so. Okay, number 3, I would move to approve ordinance 2019-4, creation of Sunset Subdivision Road Improvement Project Assessment Area, located within Section 31 and 32, Township 36 South, Range 12 West, Sections 5 and 6, Township 37 South, Range 12 West, Salt Lake Basin Meridian. Evaluation of protest count determined to designate or abandon the proposed assessment area.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2019-4, creation of the Sunset Subdivision Road Improvement Project Assessment Area located as stated. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We look forward to that going forward, and might mention that the county has expended extensive resources working on the Vandenberg Road, which leads to this subdivision. It's partially paved at this time, and we're going to do about a 2-mile section in next month will be paved, and then we have to wait another year for the next section to settle, and then they'll have pavement all the way to the entrance to the subdivision, and then now have this improvement in. So it'll be really nice for those folks and everyone else that travels the Vandenberg Road.
Mr. Chair, just to Cedar City Corporation traded 7.5 acres of property right there by the subdivision, just across the road. What was it, Steve? Was it 2 years ago? A year ago?
7.5 acres, and we traded them 2 parcels.
Right, traded, and it was about a year ago, I think that happened. And,
About a year.
but they've taken a lot of material out of that for the Vandenberg and Bumblebee roads. It's saved the county. It's been a real win-win. And plus, it's going to leave a large hole when they're done. There's already a pretty good hole there, but especially doing this project, it'll even remove more. And we've actually got approval from Sitlet across their property. We've got a stream alteration permit, which I'm wondering where we're at on that. But going forward, so we can divert water, which will help with flooding, and plus we can do some recharge in that area to help. It's right above a well that Cedar City owns. So there's been some real positive things all around for this. So.
Thank you. Moving on, item number 4, consideration and possible approval of an offer to purchase Iron County-owned real property, including lots 258 through 338 of Parkview Subdivision, Phase 3A, 39 lots in total, and parcel numbers A963-1 and A962-2. As a note, part of this discussion may be closed per state ordinance as a strategy session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property. Who's
Okay.
explaining this one, John?
So this was the follow-on to the discussion from a couple of meetings ago, actually last meeting, and these were parcels that you chose to take out of the insignificant surplus property list because of the interest in purchasing them. We've got Mr. Letterman and Mr. Pugh here today, and they've made an offer. Let's see. I didn't pull the offer up, but yeah, maybe we better do that. You guys have it written down? Okay, that's all right. Well, that's the other part of it, yeah. So we haven't necessarily released the amount, and we're treating this as if they were significant parcels because they're interested in purchasing them as a group. And you have had a chance to look at that offer, although I would imagine it's probably not fresh in your mind right now.
For the public's knowledge, these are in the Fissure area in Enoch, and so they're distressed properties, and so that's why we're handling this a little bit different than usual. But Mike, do you recommend that we go into closed session to consider this?
You can go into a closed session to discuss an offer to purchase property.
Okay. Seems like that's probably what we should do at this point.
That's probably most appropriate.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Then moving second that we go into closed session to.
I'm sorry, you probably need to state the code and which part and why.
Right.
Yeah, but it is listed right there in number 4.
Okay, yeah.
So
if you'll state that code.
Okay, so in my motion to go into closed session, it is regarding the approval of an offer to purchase Iron County-owned real property, including lots 258 through 338 of Parkview subdivision, Phase 3A, 39 in total. And APNs A963-1 and A962-2.
And then state the UCA there.
Oh, and then
the order.
and that's per UCA 52-4-20 or 205D.
And then read in the rest of that.
As a strategy session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property.
Okay.
Second.
We have a second. Been moved and seconded that we go into a strategy session per closed session per UCA 52-4-205D as a strategy session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We will go into closed session. Chair declares closed session adjourned and reconvened as a county commission. I will make one correction. I said that we were doing this out of maybe ordinary procedure. This is standard procedure. These lots have been advertised, duly advertised, and we're going through the procedure we usually do. We talked about our insignificant property list. That's the one thing that's different here. We did exclude, even though these are small parcels, most of them, all but two, we excluded them from the insignificant parcel list because these gentlemen made the offer to combine them. And so anyway, and their offer is $46,335, which we felt was a good offer that was fair to the people of Iron County. That's over $1,000 an acre, and generally dry land in this county is about $1,500 an acre because these properties are distressed because there's fissures there. The subdivision infrastructure was put in and the sewer actually reversed. So the subdivision was condemned. No one could build there. So we feel like that was a fair offer, and I will entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll move to accept the offer of $46,335, and that's for 39 smaller lots and 2 larger lots. And this is Iron County owned real property, including the lots 258 through 338 of Parkview subdivision, Phase 3A, 39 in total, and APNs A963-1 and A962-2. Part of this discussion, as we went into closed session 4, it's UCA 52-4-205D, and this is of course discussing the purchase and exchange or lease of real property.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded that we approve accepting the offer to purchase the Iron County owned real property as explained by Commissioner Cousins and for the price explained of $46,335. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, thank you very much. Glad to have that. It's been quite a long process. Glad to have that taken care of. Yeah.
Use it with those guys for just.
Sure. I never signed this. Yeah. That's that previous ordinance that I hadn't signed yet. We'll have to wait for the clerk because he does all the recording and needs to speak with those gentlemen for a few moments. You're welcome. You ready to go, John?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item number 5, discussion and possible approval of a single event permit for IG Winery's 2019 wine competition on August 31st, 2019. Do we have a representative?
Oh, yeah.
Please state your name.
Cimbria Patterson, and I'm presenting because IG Winery wants to do this festival, Labor Day weekend, good for the community, good for tourism, and they want to do a farm to fork dinner in conjunction with the festival. They want to do it on our farm, and I told them I would come and ask for I'm sure as you guys know, you need a local consent to get the permit from the DABC. If you're charging for alcohol, they would only be serving wine. I don't know about beer, but no liquor. And that's it.
Okay, would you please state your address where this will be?
2322 West, 4375 North, Cedar City.
Okay, thank you very much.
No questions? You guys
Do
are
we
good?
have any questions?
No, I would I would move to approve a single event permit for IG Wineries for the 2019 wine competition on August 31st, 2019, to be held at the stated address at the Red Acre Farm.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve a single event permit for IG Wineries to have a 2019 wine competition on August 31st, 2019 at Red Acre Farms on 2300 West. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Cedar City Hospital Annual Report presented by Administrator Eric Packer and others with him that I'm sure he'll introduce. Glad to have you with us today, folks, and we look forward to your report each year.
Thank you. It's our pleasure to be here. I have Jordan Merrill that's here with me. I'm going to have him just talk for just a minute, but we do have a little booklet here that we're going to distribute, and we'll just kind of talk through this. We thought this would just be an easy way to summarize what we wanted to talk about today and review the plan. We know that you've already received and gone through a charity plan that looked like this for the hospital, but one of our requirements for our tax exempt status is to come and just do a review of that. So that's why we're here. So if you open up the booklet on the first page, just a quick review of a few of the items that we have taken place here at the hospital or that we did last year. We did some renovation of our wound clinic, which it moved to a new location in the Main Street building there just north of the hospital. We added the tomosynthesis 3D mammography unit, which has been a wonderful addition, and we've been excited about that add. We're also purchased the equipment to upgrade our security and video equipment, so we have much more clarity and resolution with our video equipment. Our digital radiography, upgraded those units, and then with some simple things we've done, like move to LED lighting, and we have our Simply Birth suite, just to provide women in our community different options for delivering.
Have you done a complete retro on the LED then throughout the hospital?
Yes.
Two LED?
Yep.
Awesome. I'm just going to ask Commissioner Blake if he was familiar with that picture on the
Yeah.
I'm going to disclose. I just took a picture of that picture and texted. Apparently, you're an upgrade.
Oh, now I'm going to be in trouble. Yeah.
On the upgrade page.
But some other projects that we've worked on that we wanted to just review real quickly. So Jordan Merrill's here. He's just going to talk about our community health needs assessment and what took place.
So again, my name is Jordan Merrill. I work with Community Health here, supporting Iron County. And the Community Health Needs Assessment, it comes up every 3 years. It's driven by the community. It is the needs that the community has brought to us as the greatest priority of needs that we want to address. And so that's really what drives us every 3 years. We're in the status where we're coming up with the next 3 years for 2020 through 2023. So this is the final year for the 4 items mentioned here. Some of the things that we've done here recently in Iron County to address these, we provided just recently, and we are continuing to do these mental health trainings. We worked with the police department just recently for Cedar City Police Department. We trained their whole police department in mental health first aid. It's an 8-hour training course that we provide the cost to help them better address depression and know how to address suicidality and the factors coming from that. We teach a lot of community classes that are all free to the community, addressing the high blood pressure, prediabetes. Those are chronic disease classes that we teach, and those are readily available every month through the hospital for any community member that wants to come and take part of those. Some of the main things with opioid misuse, we are continuing full court press in this area. We are teaching a lot of naloxone presentations, where naloxone is the drug that basically gets rid of an opioid overdose and kicks them out of it to save a life. We are providing naloxone free to any community members, and through these presentations we've provided 2 in the last month here in Iron County, and we are continuing to have more scheduled for this area to provide it for all community members and community partners, and then continuing any other areas. Another addition to this is we are addressing suicide prevention methods in Iron County, Washington County, and some of the other surrounding communities, as it was brought to us from the community that we want to address that as well. So on top of these four, that is another area that we are addressing, and it's addressed through a lot of these community resources that we're pouring into the area. Any questions on
one question. You got reduction of prescribing opioids by 40%. Has that happened, or is that your goal, or where are we?
That is happening and has happened internally within Intermountain, and that is our goal within the community. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Great. Also, you might see under current projects, we're working with SUU to put a Connect Care kiosk there at the university. That's really where they can, Connect Care is a way that they can seek health care by using their phone, and a kiosk is just a more complete station where they can do blood pressures and have someone look in their ears and stuff from afar. And then we're expanding telehealth services just to help us bring specialists into our community that don't reside here, but they can connect and provide medical advice, so we can maybe keep people in the community so we don't have to transfer them. On the next page, you can see just some facts about the hospital in regards to our licensed beds and some of our volume that we have. You can see we're a busy hospital. Moving down to our 2019 award highlights, we were a top 20 rural hospital for the country now 4 years in a row. We're pretty pleased with that. Only 2 hospitals in the country have been able to achieve that. And so we keep competing. Hopefully we can knock off this other hospital, which actually is up in Montana. We're a top 100 community hospital through Truven. So all these different awards are really driven by different metrics, and they look at different things from outcomes to market shares to just a little bit of everything. And so they kind of have different, the way they slice up the operation of the hospital. So we're honored that we've been able to achieve this on so many fronts, these awards. I think it's an honor. It's an honor for us, but really I think it's a tribute to the caregivers we have that work at the hospital and that live in our community and help provide this care. So really probably the main reason we're here today is just to highlight for our tax exempt status, there's actually 6 elements that the state requires us to meet. And I wanted to just touch bases on all 6 of those. But first, we're a not-for-profit, and really any profits we make does not go to the benefit of any one individual. It really is reinvested back into the communities that we serve. So the first element, a hospital must establish that is organized on a not-for-profit basis. We do promote healthcare. We are not-for-profit. We are a 501c3 organization. And as you look through kind of the bullet points, it just kind of summarizes a lot of the different things that we have to do to meet that. I think that's pretty straightforward that we're in compliance with those. I go to number 2 on the next page. None of the institution's net earnings and no donations made to it inures the benefit of the private shareholders or other individuals. Again, that's kind of reiterating the point I just made that no earnings or donations to the hospital benefit any one individual, private shareholder, anybody else. It goes back to the community. Number 3 is the institution must establish that it admits and treats the public without regard to race, religion, or gender. The hospital services are based on clinical judgment, etc., and that indigent people, are treated. We don't discriminate, and I think we meet that. We have the signs up. We're very cautious and careful to make sure we're compliant with all of those elements. So any questions on any of those so far? All right, number 4, the institution must establish that policies integrate and reflect the public interest. We have a nonprofit, or we have a governing board that represents the community, and you can see it lower on the page the different members of our governing board for 2018. 2018 that served with us. Also, again, we have to confer annually with the Board of Equalization, and really by us coming here today, that fulfills that requirement. And we have to establish and maintain a charity plan, which we have submitted, and I think you've had a chance to review that, but we're here to answer any questions about that. Number 5, the institution must establish that its total gift to the community exceeds its property tax liability for that year. As you can see, charity care that we provide, we had over 13,000 people that received care that were unable to pay. And I just want to clarify, you'll see at the bottom of the page there's the asterisk that says that doesn't include capital improvements nor bad debt. We believe if it's bad debt, there's a process that they should go through for consideration for assistance, and if they don't go through that process and it does get written off to bad debt, we don't consider that charity, where a lot of institutions, they do consider that as charity, and we don't. But the actual charity we did render was $5,886,064. Pretty substantial amount. So as you look at that and compare against what we would pay in taxes, which would probably be just under $600,000 or $700,000, we're giving substantially more back. And I'll just make a comment because I have a unique perspective with some of this. When I first started in healthcare, one of my jobs was to go to the county commission, would collect indigent forms and different things, and I'd go to the county commission and they would fund those. And that's something that you don't have to do. And, we're taking care of that as a hospital. So I think that's a benefit to the community. So any questions on any of those things?
Eric, I have a question.
Okay.
Thanks for being here. That's a great presentation. I had one question. I followed a discussion, maybe it was a couple years ago or even a year ago, about some of these individuals that have obtained the Christian-based health care insurance, right, and maybe some issues with you guys covering and providing services for those. Where are we at with that?
Depends on the insurance plan. We've tried to reach out and contract with some of them if we're able to. There's certain elements that they have to meet. The challenge has kind of been between the insurance industry and the Christian ministry folks, because they're wanting to be treated like an insurance agency, and the insurance folks are saying, hey, you don't meet the requirements of an insurance company, so you shouldn't be treated like an insurance company. But we're just trying to keep peace. We just want to provide the service to our community. And so we've got that worked out. We do have a couple large businesses here in town that have elected to go through the Christian ministries, and I think we've worked with those entities to get that resolved, and they're being treated, I think, the same. I'm not aware of any recent issues at all with them.
More I'm just curious how that all played out.
So it's been a challenge, but. Okay. And last off, the 6th element, just on the last page, is just the satellite healthcare facilities and centralized support facilities are entitled to tax exemption if it is shown that facilities enhance and improve the governing hospital's mission, and for us that really doesn't apply. So
I just have a comment. I oftentimes when a large organization comes forward with a request for a tax exemption, 501c3 designation, a lot of people question that. Being involved with the Intermountain family over the years, it is, if we had a for-profit hospital in our community, we would not have nearly the resources that we have because of Intermountain and because of how much they give back to the community. I believe that our cancer center, our wound clinic, all of those kind of auxiliary parts of the hospital are here in Cedar City because of the great relationship that we have with Intermountain, and it is really appreciated. I know that we would be sending our citizens of our county far away for treatment were it not for that tax exempt status, that charity status, and it really is appreciated here in our community.
I do have to say it is kind of rewarding for those that really are deserving and are struggling, and we're able to give that to them, or they need cancer care. And, because that can be very expensive, and we're able to give that to them and allow them to remain here in the community to receive that. So I do think that's a great benefit, but thank you for your comments.
We appreciate all you do. This is great.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's very comforting to have a facility of this level of care right here close. It's just very comforting for our citizens. So thank you so much for all you do.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7, discussion and possible approval to help fund the Iron County Rural Planning Organization, RPO, for fiscal year 2020. The participation amount for Iron County is $40,000. The RPO, this is a rural planning organization for roads. And we had our Iron County Coordinating Council last week, which includes the county commissioners and all the mayors. And this was approved by the COG, Council of Governments, which is the group I just mentioned. But the final approval is from the county commission. This $40,000 comes from the Corridor Preservation Fund, which is the $10 fee you pay every time you register a vehicle. There is this amount. We can use some of that for planning. That's what this is used for. The 5 County Association of Government administers this, and they do not just take the $40,000 and spend it all. They bill us for the amount that the actual time that they take to accomplish the purpose, and it's never been the full $40,000. So we anticipate that'll be the same way this year. But anyway, we need a motion for final approval of the expenditure of the up to $40,000.
I'll go ahead and I will move to approve funding to the Iron County Rural Planning Organization, RPO, for fiscal year 2020 in the amount of up to $40,000.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve to help fund the Iron County Rural Planning Organization for fiscal year 2020 in the amount of $40,000, which will come from the Corridor Preservation Fund. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 8, discussion and possible approval of a contract for professional services with the law firm Smith Harvickson PLLC for the preparation of necessary documents in the creation process of assessment areas in Iron County, presented by Reed. Did Reed slip away?
Reed stepped out.
Adam Long is here from Smith Harvickson.
Yeah,
welcome,
Reed
Adam.
stepped out. Reed asked the firm and me, I believe with the blessing of the county attorney, to help with this assessment area process. As you know, I have long been and continue to be the redevelopment agency legal counsel, and I'm here at least once in a while. So this engagement letter is basically the same terms as the redevelopment agency's engagement with us, same discounted governmental entity rates, but because the county is technically a separate legal entity, we have a separate letter.
Okay. And these assessment areas are fairly rare, but I know many of you probably heard of the special service districts, SIDs that we did, special improvement districts that were done for many years. This assessment area ordinance has replaced that and taken its place, and we've had a little bit of a struggle with all the ins and outs of this, and so that's why we want to have Smith Harvickson help us through these occasional assessment areas. So any further discussion?
I would just like to point out that our dealings with Adam have been very positive and professional, and he's helped us multiple times in multiple settings to try and get our, at least in the world of the RDAs, and now to bring them to fruition without too much grief. I say that knowing that grief is the next 17 agenda items.
We're going to whip right through them.
Yeah.
I would move to approve the contract with, for the services of this issue we're discussing with Smith Vigson, PLLC, for the preparation of necessary documents and the creation process for the assessment areas in Iron County.
Well, second.
Will you pronounce your name so we all? Harvickson. Thank you. Okay.
Sorry,
very good.
that.
No. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the contract for professional service with the law firm of Smith Harvickson PLLC for the preparation of necessary documents in the creation process of assessment areas in Iron County. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. This time we'll adjourn as a county commission and convene as the Iron County Community Development and Renewal Agency. Item number 9, discussion and possible approval of tax increment payments for Three Peaks Solar and Quichapa Solar.
Morning, Commissioners. Thanks for having
And
us
he's here to
today.
help us. Thank you so much, Danny.
We've done a few of these so far. I think these are wrapping up these requests that we have, I believe. I'll go back and confirm that. But so this item today is asking for approval for reimbursement for 2 of these solar projects that we have. The first one that I'll mention is the Three Peaks Solar Project. Now, in these agreements that we have with these the developers in these projects is that they meet the benchmarks that are in the participation agreement that we have with them each year, and then we have a deadline of April 1st for them to make this request and to submit the materials that show that they're meeting their end of the agreement. And that has been the case with both of these for 2018 taxes. The Three Peaks Solar Project, there was an appeal evaluation. That's part of the reason why we're a few weeks behind on this. Everything was submitted in a timely manner, but with that appeal, part of our participation agreement says that we do not make this reimbursement as long as that appeal is in effect. It's a bit of a timing issue between our agreement here with the county and also with the State Tax Commission. We received notification from Three Peaks Solar that they have dropped that appeal. What I would like to do is ask that the commission or the agency consider approving their request upon a formal receipt or receipt of the formal notification from the State Tax Commission that appeal has been dropped.
So approve it, but take effect when that happens.
Exactly, and that way we don't have to wait until the next meeting. That could happen today or tomorrow. They're in contact with the State Tax Commission, but we just need verification from the state that appeal has been dropped. And we do allow them to appeal that, but the State Tax Commission wouldn't be able to hear that until August, and it just puts things behind. So they've agreed to drop that appeal. It's more important to them that they request the reimbursement. So they did submit all of the information that's in their agreement. I've reviewed that, and everything's in order. Just want to make sure that appeal has been received, or that's been dropped.
Any other questions or discussion? Entertain a motion.
I would move the approval of the tax increment payments for Three Peaks Solar and Quichapa Solar, pending verification from the State Tax Commission that the pending appeal has been dropped.
Second.
And now, is that just for Three Peaks or for both of them?
The appeal was just on the Three Peaks, but the request is for both. Quichapa for 2018, they did get everything that they needed to get to us as well.
Okay, I'll clarify that motion then as we'll approve tax increment payments for Three Peaks Solar pending verification from the State Tax Commission that appeal has been dropped, and also approve the incremental tax of payments for Quichapa Solar.
And that's, so when you say pending, do you mean contingent upon receiving verification that the appeal has been dropped from the State Tax Commission?
Yes. That's what meant to come out of my mouth.
Well, maybe that's the same. Just want to make sure that we're on the same page.
Yeah, pending that payment be made, pending the verification from the State Tax Commission that appeal has been dropped.
Excellent.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve tax increment payments for Three Peaks Solar and Quichapa Solar. The Three Peaks Solar payment being contingent upon a notice from the State Tax Commission that the appeal that they filed has been dropped. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item number 10, public hearing regarding draft project area plans and draft project area budgets for the Cold Mountain 1 Solar and Cold Mountain 2 Solar Community Reinvestment Project areas. The agency will receive any written comments and hear all oral comments as to whether the plans and budgets should be adopted, revised, or rejected. All interested parties are invited to attend this meeting here. A short informational presentation will precede the public hearing. We'll have that now. By Adam.
Yeah, and when we say short, we mean very short, because as John noted, there's quite a list of redevelopment agenda items on this.
Thank you.
These are two large utility-scale solar projects. They're located essentially stacked on top of each other 5 miles-ish southwest of Newcastle. Cove Mountain 1 is anticipated to be a 58 megawatt project with about $64 million in new investment. Cove Mountain 2, 122 megawatts and about $130 million of investment. The agency is anticipating receiving 70% of the tax increment generated by these projects for a period of 15 years. And then most of that gets paid to the developer as a post-performance incentive. The agency will take a 10% and put it toward affordable housing, and also keep a small amount for the sake of running the agency, paying ongoing costs, things like that. We have representatives from the developer here. I anticipate Mitch will introduce himself and see if you all have any questions. With that, I suggest opening the public hearing, and I'll be happy to answer questions as needed.
Could you explain the difference between the old regime and the new one? As far, CDA versus CRA, plus the new structure as far as diverting the funds.
Sure. So on the agenda today, and I'm mixing things up a little bit, and I apologize. On the agenda today, we have two types of projects, interlocals for two types of projects. One is what we called a community development project area, or a CDA, which existed until 2016. After 2016, we now have a community reinvestment project area, or CRA. CRAs have that mandatory housing allocation that I just alluded to, where the agency has to set aside 10% of the money it gets in order to fund affordable housing in the county. That's maybe not been as much of an issue here. It was definitely a legislative change that was very much pushed by the larger Wasatch Front municipalities. Also in 2016, some of the laws changed regarding the calculation of new growth. So for the benefit of audience perhaps, and commissioners and me and everyone else, I'll get into this very deep subject, and I'll hope to go an inch deep. Previously, any new personal property counted as new growth for the county. So hypothetically, a solar project gets built, ignoring any redevelopment agency involvement, that $100 million of value gets treated as new growth. The tax entities see actual new tax dollars from that. In 2016, the laws changed around personal property for the most part, where personal property didn't hit new growth because as personal property is inherently depreciable, as that property depreciated, it would shift that tax burden onto everybody else. There are a couple exceptions. One is centrally assessed property. Think Kennecott dump trucks, things like that are the size and cost of really nice houses. And also property that's within a redevelopment project area. The current approach is to have the agency capture 100% of the tax increment generated by a project like this, and then rebate a portion back to the tax entities, obviously in proportion to their tax levies. That basically allows the tax entities to capture some of this new growth, whereas if we were just doing the standard, say, 70-30 split we'd done in years past, the tax entities wouldn't see any new dollars from this. It would just be an infinitesimal reduction in property tax levy across the county because of this, this project or these projects. So the Cliffs Notes version, we're proposing the agency receive 100% of the increment generated by these projects, basically rebating 30% back to the tax entities on an annual basis, and then retaining the other 70% and using like it always would have. And I'm happy to answer questions, or at least attempt to answer questions on that. Correct. So property that's in a project area, personal property in a project area doesn't hit the new growth calculations until it, as Cindy said, comes out of a project area is the terminology. Really it's when the agency stops collecting increment from that property.
Okay.
The theory being at that point it's essentially mostly or fully depreciated, therefore that tax shifting issue is mitigated.
Right. When you say infinitesimal, the size of these solar projects, though, isn't there more than infinitesimal decrease across the board in the county of our rate?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but even $100 million project in relation to the value across the county doesn't end up with essentially a miserable difference for an average taxpayer. But yes, that's true, and at some point it would become material with enough of them.
Yeah, we have billions of dollars of value in the county,
right?
And so they are large, and certainly not zero, but and then the 2016 law did mitigate that potential for a tax shift that the taxpayers would have to pick up, and that was the concern. That was part of the reasoning for going to the different structure, if I understand that correctly.
Cindy had a comment or question.
I was just going to say that also because that, for example, the $130 million project, because part of that is intangible because of other federal tax credits, it's never really $100 million anyway.
Mm-hmm.
$130 million anyway, and the 30 comes after the 70% rebate comes after the 30 that comes off the top anyway. So it's a pretty significant reduction to the specific taxpayer, to the solar developer.
Correct. Thank you. Are there other questions? Okay, the public hearing is open regarding the draft project area plans and draft project area budgets for Cove Mountain 1 Solar and Cove Mountain 2 Solar Community Reinvestment Project areas. Anyone with comments, please come forward and state your name.
Hi everyone, my name is Mitchell Taylor. I'm the lead solar developer for First Solar. I think we've all met. I appreciate your time, commissioners. Appreciate county staff and the community that's been involved in these projects. First Solar is the largest U.S.-based solar manufacturer. We've deployed over 20 gigawatts of modules around the world, and 20,000 megawatts of modules, 5,000 of those being in solar projects. So this is going to be our first project here in Utah, and we're really excited to be here in the state. Also appreciate the innovation that the county staff, Economic Development Office, and leadership of Iron County to promote solar development here in Utah. It's really what makes these projects competitive. We see solar as an enabler of business, and so we're excited to partner with you in that. Energy is a particularly competitive market, and mechanisms like this lead to the success of these projects, so appreciate the consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there other comments, public comments for the public hearing? Second call, any other comments? Seeing none, Chair declares the public hearing closed.
Yeah, and Board Member Adams, maybe if I could make one public hearing-esque comment, just as to the effect of these solar projects on Iron County. I believe Iron County has, if not the majority, at least a significant plurality of the utility-scale solar projects in the state. Part of that is obviously the solar resource in the county, and part of that has been the county's. That's more or less indicative of how my week's gone.
We have almost as many papers as you do, so anyway,
I know.
we understand.
I know. I sent John 400 pages of documents, so I'll be buying him lunch or sending him a fruit basket or something. But the effect of these solar projects, Iron County has been willing to, offer the incentives to make them competitive, and also staff and elected officials have been willing to make, iron out this process. And I know it's been not necessarily easy, but just by way of a couple easy statistics, our estimated incremental value sets as of 2019. So some of these projects have already begun depreciating somewhat significantly. We have over $720 million of new incremental value from solar projects. That's generating an estimated amount of tax increment of about $5.6 million for 2019. And obviously a good portion of that goes to fund developer incentives and reimbursements. But that's about $1.75 million of new money to the taxing entities in the counties from these projects that while they obviously require effort and administration, they don't require, generally additional police presence or don't bring additional school children. What
was that number? 1.what?
1.75 million, and this is the spreadsheet that you should have in your stack somewhere. But I think these projects have been very good for the county, and continue to be good for the county. Just to put that in perspective as we slog through the next 15 agenda items.
Okay. So
yeah, I'm happy to introduce and.
Okay,
that'd
go
be
ahead.
easier.
You can just introduce each agenda item. This will be agenda items 11 through 25. Is that right? Let's see. Yeah, 11 through 25. So we'll just let you just go ahead and introduce each of those to streamline the process.
Okay. Would you like to vote on them as a group or as I introduce each one?
We'll
probably need to do them individually, but
okay.
We move quickly.
Okay. I'll introduce 11 and 12, 13 and 14 together, and then probably votes on each individual agenda item are appropriate. These agenda items are the community reinvestment project area plans and project area budgets for the Cove Mountain projects, Cove Mountain 1 and 2. The project area plans are essentially the who, what, why, where, when, how of the project, the justification for the agency's involvement, what the physical area looks like, what the proposed project looks like, what type of incentives or reimbursements we're contemplating. And the budget is essentially a set of financial projections that matches the plan. This is what we just had the public hearing on as required by statute.
Okay. We've got all these on our electronic.
Do you
Go ahead, John.
Do you want to come into my office and work on signatures after the meeting, or do you want me to?
Yeah,
pass it to
I'll
you as
come
we
in.
go?
Yeah.
Okay, it's about 8 inches thick, so.
I will certify to the public that before I leave this building, all these will be signed that have been approved.
Countersigned.
And
You're
countersigned.
going to be doing the rest of the day.
Yeah.
He's got a fast signature. We'll have to.
Yeah, I
see.
got a fast signature, and we can always call in for lunch. Anyway. All right. So that explained 11 through 14, correct?
Yeah.
So I would entertain a motion. You can do it as one motion, but specifically mention each one of those. I'd like to do that.
So do we need to read each one or in the motion?
I would think reading the resolution number is probably sufficient.
Okay.
Unless someone feels
Are you-
strongly
We're
otherwise.
doing 11 through 14, is that what you
Yeah,
said?
11.
Okay. So I'd make a motion that we approve the resolution, ICCD and RA Resolution 2019-2, 2019-3, 2019-4, and 2019-5, adopting a community reinvestment project area budget for the solar 1, 2, solar 1, and solar 2.
So if I can add a
investment area.
bit of gloss to the motion, it'd be adopting the project area plans and budgets for the Cove Mountain Solar 1 and Cove Mountain Solar 2 projects.
Okay, so say that again.
Adopting the project area plans and project area budgets for the Cove Mountain Solar 1 and Cove Mountain Solar 2 projects.
And adopting the plan and budgets.
Yeah, plans and budgets. For
Plans
each
and
project.
budgets for the Solar Mountain 1 and 2 projects. Is that right?
Cove Mountain.
Cove Mountain. Oh, I'm sorry. For the Cove Mountain Solar 1 and 2 community reinvestment project areas. Is that right?
That'll work.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 2019-2, 19-3, 19-4, and 19-5, adopting a community development reinvestment project area plan and adopting the budget for Cove Mountain Solar 1 and Cove Mountain Solar 2. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motions carry. Motions for those 4 items carry. Okay, we'll move on to item number 15.
I move that Mike makes the rest of these.
Okay, item number 15 is approving the interlocal agreements for the Cove Mountain Solar 1 and Cove Mountain Solar 2 community reinvestment project areas. So these are the agreements between the agency and the taxing entities, in this case the county, the school district, and unincorporated area services district number 2, whereby the agency is entitled to receive a portion of the tax increment generated, thus able to fund the reimbursements and incentives to developers to make these projects happen. We'll have similar resolutions on behalf of the county and SSD number 2 pretty soon on the agenda.
Okay. I would move approval of ICC-DNRA Resolution 2019-6, approving interlocal agreements between the agency, Iron County, the Iron County School District, the Iron County Unincorporated Services Area District 2, regarding Cove Mountain Solar 1 and Cove Mountain Solar 2 community reinvestment project areas.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve ICC-DNRA Resolution 2019-6, approving interlocal agreements as explained by Commissioner Blake in his motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay.
Item number 16. Go ahead.
Item number 16 is the participation agreements. So the interlocal agreements allow the agency to receive a portion of the tax increment. The participation agreement is the agreement between the agency and the developer to reimburse or pay a portion of that as an incentive to the developer. This sets out the requirements the developer has to meet. For example, as Danny explained earlier, making the request, paying your taxes on time, actually building and operating the project.
The participation agreement is what we most often refer to looking back, what was codified.
Yeah, it's a much more complicated agreement than the interlocal agreements. And that's basically the checklist for the developer. Have we met these things? Is the agency obligated to pay the money for a particular year?
Exactly. I might add, after we've done a few of these, it was difficult, but our staff and Adam, with Adam's extensive help, have set up guidelines that we go through, and it's been much easier as we've gone along, and we appreciate everybody's patience. But I think we do a pretty good job of it here in Iron County.
We're much improved. It's been a process over quite a few years. And I don't. I'll quickly wax historical, but I mean the Red Hills Renewables was one of the very first ones, and that was kind of championed by Commissioner and then Representative Stoll, and that's been, he kind of pioneered that process early on, and with Brennan Wood and now Danny, and great individuals to work with. So.
Thanks to all who have made this more streamlined and helped us through. Okay, I would entertain a motion on number 16.
Move to approve item number 16, the ICC-DNRA Resolution 2019-7, approving participation agreements for the Cove Mountain Solar 1 and Cove Mountain Solar 2 community reinvestment project areas.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2019-7, ICC and DRA approving participation agreements for Cove Mountain Solar 1 and 2 community reinvestment project areas. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, Adam, go ahead with 17.
Okay, agenda item 17 is a resolution approving interlocal agreements for the Fremont and Rush Lake community development project areas, so not community reinvestment project areas. These are project areas that were created in, I think, 2015. It was created as a set of 5 by SunEdison. These never actually got developed. SunEdison then went bankrupt and fell apart and went into disarray. These 2 projects have been picked up and are now being developed by a new developer. The project areas have already been created, so we're not changing the project areas here. We're just approving the agreements. So
who's the new developer?
Brian Harris is the guy that kind of picked it up, but I can't remember who he works for.
Yeah, Long Road Solar.
Long Road?
But it's Brian Harris, who's been a familiar face with SunEdison and First Wind.
Okay.
All right, I would move for approval of ICCD and RA Resolution 2019-8, approving the interlocal agreements between the ICCD and RA, Iron County, the Iron County School District, Iron County Unincorporated Area Services District Number 2, and the Central Iron County Water Conservancy District regarding the Fremont and Rush Lake Community Development Project areas.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve ICCD and RA Resolution 2019-8 as explained in the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 18.
Again, these are the participation agreements that go along with the interlocal agreements for Fremont and Rush Lake. Very similar to the Cove Mountain 1 and Cove Mountain 2 participation agreements, although these don't have a mandatory housing allocation, so the percentage is 10% lower than the agreements for the Cove Mountain projects.
Are these structured 70-30 then, or was it the 100%?
These are structured 60-40.
40, yeah.
Okay.
Because we've had this mandatory housing allocation. Essentially, we've told developers that, you're going to bear that cost. So instead of say grossing it up to 80-20, we'd still take 70-30, but 10% has to come off the top and get set aside for housing. Because these are CDAs, they don't have that housing requirement, but we've structured the percentages the same as the Cove Mountain projects because they're all coming through the pipeline at the same time.
Would you quickly explain how the housing relates to solar?
Well, that is the issue. Housing doesn't necessarily relate to solar. The way the law reads, for a community reinvestment project area that generates more than $100,000 of tax income a year, which all these solar projects are in that boat, the agency is required to set aside 10% of the increment it receives toward income-targeted housing as defined by statute. Does it relate to a solar project? Conceptually, no, not really. One other gloss I'll mention, it's in the agreements. Senator Harper this past session ran a bill that created essentially an opt-out for the housing allocation. So if your project doesn't contemplate any residential development and at least 60% of your jobs are above the median wage or the average wage, I don't remember which, you can opt out of that housing allocation. So if the agency desires to do so on the Cove Mountain projects, that is built into the agreements already. It would just result in the tax entities receiving a larger payment from the agency on a yearly basis.
So that bill became law, and you did include it in the participation?
Yeah, that bill becomes law today, conveniently.
Okay.
Today is 60 days from the end of legislative session. So that is in the participation agreement and the interlocal agreement. So it's up to the agency whether the agency makes that election or not.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
So a move to approve agenda item 18, ICCD and RA Resolution 2019-9, approving participation agreements for the Fremont and Rush Lake Community Development Project areas.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve ICCD and RA Resolution 2019-9, approving participation agreements as delineated in the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 19.
Okay, the last agency agenda item is approving a participation agreement for the Fiddler's Canyon solar project. Board Member Adams may recall this was originally part of a project called Sun Edison Phase 1. They failed to meet some of their benchmarks in the participation agreement and thus didn't get their incentives, both because they didn't build on the timeline they promised to and because their actual solar project boundaries, one of the 6 smaller projects actually fell outside the project area. So what we ended up doing is bifurcating that very large project area and shrinking it down to encompass what we now call the Quichapa projects, and then creating this one for the Fiddler's Canyon projects. These projects have been constructed. The interlocals have already been approved. This is just the last step in the process.
Okay.
Okay, I'd move for approval of agenda item number 19, ICCD and RA Resolution 2019-10, approving a participation agreement for the Fiddler's Canyon Community Reinvestment Project area.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve ICCD and RA Resolution 2019-10, approving a participation agreement for the Fiddler's Canyon Community Reinvestment Project area. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, now we will believe we will adjourn the Iron County Community Development and Renewal Agency and convene excuse me, and convene as the Iron County Unincorporated Area Services District number 2. Item number 20.
Yeah, item number 20 and 21. This is the other side of the coin for the interlocal agreements between the agency and Unincorporated Area Services District number 2. I'm happy to answer any questions, but this is just the, like I said, basically the other side of the coin.
Okay, and this is the only Iron County entity that is part of the others.
Correct.
That's a taxing entity. Right.
Well, yeah. So the agency will have interlocals with Iron County, and then with UASD number 2. So among the many interlocals you'll sign today, you'll sign representing the agency, and then you'll sign representing the county, and then you'll sign representing the agency, and then Unincorporated Area Services District number 2.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, if there's no questions, I'd entertain a motion on item 20.
Okay, I'll move to approve agenda item 20, UASD number 2 resolution 2019-1, approving interlocal agreements between the ICCD and RA and the UASD number 2 regarding the Cove Mountain Solar 1 and Cove Mountain Solar 2 community reinvestment project areas.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve resolution UASD number 2, or UASD number 2 resolution 2019-1, approving the interlocal agreements as stated in the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 21, Adam.
I would move for approval of item number 21, the UASD number 2 resolution 2019-2, approving the interlocal agreements between the ICCD and RA and the UASD number 2 regarding the Fremont Solar and Rush Lake Solar community development project areas.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve UASD number 2 resolution 2019-2, approving interlocal agreements as stated in the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 22. Okay, at this time we will adjourn as the Iron County Unincorporated Area Services District number 2 and reconvene as the Iron County Commission. Item 22, Adam.
So items 22 and 23 are the ordinances approving the project area plans for the Cove Mountain 1 and 2 projects. The agency approves the plan by resolution. The county then approves it by ordinance, and that's the final step in the project area creation.
Okay. Whenever you're ready, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve agenda item 22, ordinance 2019-5, adopting the project area plan for the Cove Mountain Solar 1 community reinvestment project area.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance number 2019-5, adopting the project area plan for the Cove Mountain Solar 1 community reinvestment project area. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item
I'll
23
move.
is the same. Go ahead.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 2019-6, adopting the project area plan for the Cove Mountain Solar 2 community reinvestment project area.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2019-6, adopting the project area plan for the Cove Mountain Solar 2 community reinvestment project area. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 24.
Move to approve agenda item number 24, resolution 2019-2, approving interlocal agreements between the ICCD and RA and the Iron County regarding the Cove Mountain Solar 1 and Cove Mountain Solar 2 community reinvestment project areas.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 2019-2, approving interlocal agreements as stated in the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 25.
I would move to approve resolution 2019-3, approving the interlocal agreements between the ICCD and RA, the Iron County, regarding the Fremont Solar and Rush Lake Solar community development project areas.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 2019-3, approving interlocal agreements as stated with Fremont Solar and Rush Lake Solar. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Commissioners, thank you very much for slogging through that with me, and also thank you to John, the other county officials and staff. Iron County is a great place to work. It really is.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Adam.
Adam.
Appreciate it. That wasn't that painful, and but I know a lot of important technicalities that must be done to make everything legal and make everything flow properly. Thank you all for your help. And thank you, folks, for doing business in Iron County. We appreciate it. Item 26, discussion and possible approval of a settlement agreement regarding tree removal in the Cross Hollow subdivision, presented by Mike Edwards, Deputy County Attorney.
So I don't know how much detail you want me to go into. This is Cross Hollow subdivision, like you mentioned. Removing trees, there was an agreement going back and forth. This is the one that I asked you about a number of months ago. We checked and realized it had never been brought to you for approval, and so that's why I have it on here today.
Okay, just briefly give us the terms of the settlement.
Well, it's what we talked about before. We're going to be removing the trees that are dead along those roads within that subdivision. It calls for a representative from the county and the subdivision to get together and specifically identify the trees. If there's not an agreement between those two, then they'll have to bring it back to the parties to try and figure that out. But the hope is between those two individuals, they can identify how far we're going and how far we're not.
Okay. Any other discussion, questions?
No, I talked to Ryan Riddle just recently to make sure we were still on board for the disposal of those trees, and we're good to go there. So
You're just going to burn them?
Yeah.
I think they're going to move them down into an area on the college farm. I think that's where they decided, and then just burn the piles.
There's no cash involved in this settlement, just doing the work of removing the trees that were damaged.
How soon do we plan to have, is it Preston's?
Preston was going to do it, but then Ryan said that his crew could do it, and so that's Ryan Riddle's fire crew is going to remove the trees and dispose of them.
Okay.
So, my understanding.
Well, for motion?
Yeah. Yes, please.
I'll move to approve item number 26, discussion and approve the settlement agreement regarding the tree removal in the Cross Hollows subdivision.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve of the settlement agreement regarding tree removal in the Cross Hollow subdivision. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks for your work on that, Mike and others. Item 27, discussion and possible approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Utah Division of Emergency Management regarding state staging areas and the resource inventory / tracker portion of Web EOC. George Colson, our emergency manager, is here. Glad to have you, George.
Thank you.
This is a fairly standard MOU between the state and Iron County for in case of a major disaster and they had to bring down any kind of resources that would allow them to use any of our staging areas and for us to provide them with working areas for any of their teams. This is an MOU that's been signed by the county in the past. This is a renewal of that. If you're looking at the cover page from the state, you'll notice that it was supposed to have been completed by June of 2018. That's not a county thing. Apparently they thought they had sent it out to all the counties, and they were complaining that the counties hadn't signed them, and then they realized that they had never sent them out to us. And so, yeah.
The left hand did not know what the right hand was doing.
Exactly, and so they've tried to rectify that. In the MOU, it states clearly that should they damage anything, that they will make good. They will make the county good for that, and they will pay for any electricity, anything that they use. So.
Do we specifically state the staging areas, or do we just cooperate with them?
Well, I'm in the process of identifying those in shelter sites right now, and so that's all the stuff I'm going to be putting into the state Web EOC, and so there's some obvious ones, the fairgrounds and Parowan and some of those. It would depend on the nature of the disaster and what was damaged and what we use at that time, and those decisions that have to be made at that time. But
Okay.
so, with your permission, I'd like to sign this and get it back up to the state.
Okay, any other questions or comments regarding this MOU with the state?
No.
I'd entertain a motion.
I would move for approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Utah Division of Emergency Management regarding the state staging areas in the resource inventory tracker portion of Web EOC.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve of a memorandum MOU with the Utah Division of Emergency Management regarding state staging areas and the resource inventory / tracker portion of Web EOC. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, George.
Just want me to sign? Oh,
If you could, yeah, that one in that binder.
this one right here, and we'll get it taken care of. Okay, there's two signed here. I don't have to sign this second.
No, I don't know what that, yeah.
It's got a second tab. All righty. Item number 28 is Lieutenant Schlosser
He
here.
is not, and he asked me if I would speak to
He
him.
would, okay. Item 28, ratification of vehicle transfers from the Sheriff's Department. This will be presented by John Whitaker, our county clerk.
Yep. So these were, oh. There we go. So there were two vehicle transfers. One 2010 Ford went to the jail, and one 2000 Ford F-150 went to the roads department. These were transfers that were already made, and I believe Dan's not here, but I believe caught by the auditor and would need to be ratified if the commission approves it.
I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the vehicle transfers from the Sheriff's Department as explained by our clerk, John Whitaker.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we ratify the vehicle transfers from the Sheriff's Department to the two departments mentioned by the clerk. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. I think we're very efficient with our vehicles. Sometimes they can't be used in pursuits and so on in the Sheriff's Department, but they can still be used in other departments, and so we get as much use out of them as possible. Item 29, discussion and possible approval of a contract for landscaping and concrete sidewalk for the Iron County Visitor Center. Lester Ross, one of our maintenance officials, and will explain this. Thank you for being here, Lester.
Just handing out the actual proposals and that was
Thank you.
sent out back in April, actually. This is for re-landscaping of the area in front of the visitor center that was tore up due to the 2.5-inch water main that broke on it. We put this out, had it on the county website and the state sites. We actually got 3 bidders back. They ended up not being apples to apples, so I had to go into the bid and communicating, trying to get the cost for everything that I needed covered. But just for your information, the 3 proposals I had one from MJ's Landscaping for a little over $27,000, MacArthur for $15,972, and Platt Lawn Care for $16,250 $250,000, if I could speak. Then the only RFP that was actually fully had everything I had on it that I wanted was the MJ's, but talking with the other two, one of them forgot Maria's. We're changing some of the signs that she's doing. She had those really big signs that she had inside the visitor center. They determined they were too bulky, but how they were built, they made great signs outside. And so Platt Lawn Care forgot to actually add those in their contract, and MacArthur forgot to add craning services. We're moving some of those big boulders as part of this landscaping, and they're the iron ore, so you're not picking them up with a standard machine. You actually have
So eliminating them or just moving them to a new place?
what we're doing is I'm eliminating the lawn. As you can tell, all my landscaping, I am cutting back on a lot of water use for the county.
Great.
I feel it's important for us, if we're going to permit water-wise, we need to be the ones doing it. And so I'm eliminating some of the lawns around the visitor center. And so the thought is we take some of these rocks and then we're going to pour a sidewalk to do a kind of little walking path, which I just realized I have a map of the area and I didn't include it for your guys' information, but if you're interested, I do have the map of what we're doing. So we'll have kiosk signs with information for the public to come through and information for Iron County so they can walk around the visitor center and get information on a sidewalk. And we're going to crane some of those iron ore boulders and move them throughout this area. And where some of them are sitting now will be some information stations. But I'm proposing, after working out the cost difference between the two of them, that awarding the contract to Platt Lawn Care for a total of $17,150. And then just for budget standpoint, this is already budgeted items, so it's not a real concern there, but I always do a 10% contingency on top of their bids just to be on the safe side, because things will come up during the process. They always do. But the total estimated budget for this will be $18,865.
Okay, the funding source, I'm guessing, is restaurant tax? Or
Yeah, most, this actually comes out of the
transient room tax.
Transient room tax, which is already been allocated in the budget process and slated for the Iron County Visitor Center. That's the same one that the new flooring came out of, and the floor restoration in the building. Plus, we've done some lighting, a lot of nice little upgrades, but makes the building a lot nicer. If you haven't been in there recently, we actually we took the hardwood floor and actually continued it on into the conference room. So now the floors are the same, and it's beautiful actually, and I think I'm going to be able to take care of it a little better. And then Maria purchased some new furniture, so we're not going to damage the floor.
That's nice. Okay, any questions or comments regarding this item?
Ron should have included that contract.
Yeah,
in the
it's
packet.
in the packet.
I didn't have the stuff ready. I had to leave town.
Yeah, it is in our packet.
I would move approval the bid by Platt Lawn Care for landscaping of the Iron County Visitor Center in the amount of $17,150 plus a 10% contingency for total budget approval of $18,865.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the landscaping contract as mentioned, as explained in the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Assume that's what you want on that line. That. Thank you so much. Item number 30, review and possible approval of the surplus list of insignificant real parcels. Presented by John Whitaker.
Okay, so on your screen there, these are the parcels to be added to the insignificant surplus parcel list. We've got a little bit of color coding that we've done. This is that very first one is the only one that was large that we increased the price. Remember that we kind of set that base price of $350. And then these ones that are yellow were very small, and so the price was reduced on those down to $200. And this represents most of the parcels that hadn't been captured by the tax sale. In a few weeks after the tax sale, those parcels that don't sell, that won't be struck to the county, will be added to the list, and we'll actually bring this list yet again before approval. But then hopefully that'll be it for a while. So this represents us adding the parcels that weren't captured by the tax sale for the most part. I think there might be a few more left, but it's a little bit of a process.
Well, we appreciate the effort in the process, and this is going to be good. I hope we can.
And they've been moving.
They've what?
They've been moving. They've been selling.
Good.
So,
Excellent. Yeah, it's going to be so good to dispose of these and get them out to the public where they belong and not be holding them any longer.
Right.
We need to identify which ones in our motion, or could we just say per your discussion, or do we need to itemize each one?
I'm okay with it. What do you think, Mike? They're all $350, but some are lower and some are higher. But
you could mention that, that some of them are small.
As presented, I guess.
Okay. I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair, to approve the surplus list of insignificant real parcels presented by John Whitaker per this spreadsheet he's presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve of the surplus list of insignificant real parcels that have been presented to us. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Personnel, Adrian, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Still morning.
Oh,
Early.
now we got 30
Minute.
seconds.
Believe it.
So a minute.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, a few personnel-related agenda items, a little more than normal, but that seems to be the case today in general, right? So, if it's okay, I think I'll approach it by grouping. We have 3 different personnel promotions within the county we can group together, and then 3 county new hires. And then if we can maybe just touch on the USU extension new hire request and the Section 8 policy revision, which is the handouts that I just gave you. So in terms of the promotions, there's the promotion agenda items are A1, C1, and C2. Under A1, it's we had an apprentice appraiser, Kyle Adams, recently completed his required training and certification and testing to obtain his licensed appraiser certification. So we're asking for that promotion for him moving from appraiser apprentice to licensed appraiser to be approved with the effective date of May 5th, 2019, which is the current pay period and was the closest beginning date to his obtaining the certification documentation. And with that, just requesting the 5% increase, which is the policy for a promotion. The next one, C1, is within corrections. Lieutenant Cuthers has sent verification that Deputy Tafuga has completed all the necessary requirements and training to move from Deputy 1 to the Deputy 2 position, also requesting the effective date of May 5th, 2019 on that, with the 5% pay increase. And C2 was another promotion within corrections. We have some changes. We have one of the secretaries, Sonia Gustafson, who is going to be resigning here in the coming weeks. So we're moving, or asking that Sandra Capps be moved from Secretary 1 to the Secretary 2 position, effective May 19th, 2019, which is coincides with the resignation date. And with that, it would also be, per policy, the 5% increase. So those are the three promotions that we're asking for approval on, if we may.
I would move for approval of A1, the approval of promotion corresponding pay increase, which is 5%, for Kyle Adams from appraiser apprentice to licensed appraiser, effective May 5th of 2019. Also, approval of promotion and corresponding pay increase, which is also 5% for Fiapule Tafuga from Deputy 1 to Deputy 2, effective May 5th of 2019. And also approval of promotion and corresponding pay increase, which is 5% for Sandra Capps from Secretary 1 to Secretary 2, and that one effective May 19th of 2019.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the three promotions mentioned in the motion, one in the assessor's office, two in the corrections department. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
As for the new hires, those are listed on the agenda under B1, C3, and D1. The first one under B1 is Corey Erkenbrack, who's gone through the application and interview process and has been selected as the building to fill the vacant to backfill the vacant position of building inspector, zoning officer within the building and maintenance department. This was some of the information that was relayed previously as part of a preliminary approval, just because we needed to get him to a training that started on May 5th. So he's actually, like I say, we had discussed that previously, but we're just looking for the formal approval for him with the effective date of May 5th, 2019, again, to work as to backfill the building inspector zoning officer position. And then under C3, as part of what I previously explained in terms of the pending resignation of Sonia in the corrections department, we've advertised, recruited, gone through the interviewing process, and Jill Davenport has been selected and extended a job offer pending your approval to fill the Secretary 1 position that was previously held by Sandra Capps before her being promoted to the Secretary 2 position. The start date that we're projecting for Jill is May 20th, 2019. And the third new hire is under D1, which is in the landfill. We've also gone through the recruiting, application, interview process, and have extended a conditional job offer to Cody Christensen, pending your approval, to work and to as a landfill technician, which is also a backfill. All of these positions are backfill positions, with Cody's effective date being also being May 20th, 2019.
Okay, I'll move to approve item B1, approval of new hire Corey. How do you pronounce that? Erkenbrack as building inspector, zoning officer, effective May 5th, 2019. That's a backfill position. Item C3, approval of new hire Jill Davenport as Secretary 1, effective May 20th, 2019. That's a backfill to fill in for Sandra Capps. And then D1, approval of new hire Cody Christensen as landfill technician effective May 20th, 2019. That's also backfill position.
Sorry, second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the new hires as delineated in the motion, one in the building department, one in corrections, and one in landfill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved.
Okay, moving on to agenda item E1 under USU extension. We had it'd been quite some time since the USU extension had added a new employee, or maybe it was specifically to the secretary or clerical part of their personnel. I can't remember how that was described, but long enough to where we couldn't remember if we needed to present the USU extension new hires to the commission, but we had got some help from the clerk's office, found a number of years ago that it had been presented at least as part of a documentation process just because of the funding that works between the county and the USU extension. So
they're not considered county employees.
they're not, no.
But there's a large portion of the 200,000 that we provide for extension that goes for personnel, but they're not county employees.
What you do is you approve them a budget for personnel, and then they can hire or.
Okay. Okay. So the one that we did before we probably didn't need to do. So, and we've already approved the budget. We did that a couple of weeks ago. So I guess let's just strike that then.
Okay. That was, like I said, it was a question mark there for a while, and we thought we were erring on the side of caution, but
you were, and we
will make a note of that and try to remember for the next time that it happens. So, but anyway, just as point of reference, they've added a new secretary, and we helped and kind of cooperated during that process to be a support, and it sounds like they got a good, new hire that they're excited to work with and should do a good job. So, moving on to F under the agenda, which is the request for approval for an amended personnel policy, Section 8, titled Grievance and Appeals, and those are the handouts that I handed out. And we also, prior to the meeting, I emailed out copies of some of the proposed revisions. Also sent out copies to department heads just to see if there was any feedback there, and didn't receive any. But the highlighted copy is the one that obviously has the revisions, and then there's the existing policy that's also provided as a reference. The main change here is in a prior meeting we had discussed, and you'd requested that it be updated because it was still reflecting the Career Service Council, right? So, and we've changed that to reflect the administrative law judge to take the place of that council as part of the appeal process. So those changes are made, and then just as is common with policy updates, is I just took the opportunity to kind of go through and kind of, I think, do needed reformatting and clarification. Not really changing a lot of it, but the highlighted, it's highlighted a lot just because I changed enough of the verbiage and enough of the wording that to where I felt like I needed to at least point it out that it doesn't exactly match the existing policy, even though in theory and in spirit it matches up, other than the change from Career Service Council to Administrative Law Judge. Yeah. So,
thanks. Good. You've cleaned this up well, and I've read through it and agree with all the changes. And of course, like you say, the Administrative Law Judge change was the impetus to start this, but I appreciate you doing all the other work here. Any questions or comment?
No, I've read it. Looks good. So I would move to approve the amended personnel policy, Section 8, Grievance and Appeals, as presented today.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the amended personnel policy, the changes in section 8, grievance and appeals. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay,
Thank
thanks
you.
again. There's your signed copies. And okay, that was a long agenda, and we've done well, just barely afternoon. Any prairie dog matters?
Really no.
Okay, county boards. John, can you pull up the county boards? I made some good progress. County board. So I can get my notes up here. Okay, well, we can start at the bottom on weed control board. Let's see, I already had Sean Reber and Kim Evans, and we approved. John R. Williams, his health is bad, and he asked to be released. And Lee Hewlett has agreed to be a member of the weed board. So I'll make the motion that we approve Lee Hewlett as a member of the weed board.
Second.
Then moved and seconded that we approve Lee Hewlett as a new member of the Iron County Weed Board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, so that'd be starting now, and he would. I don't know if we keep track of that on here, but he'll be representing the Canaryville area. And Glenn Halderman is on there. He wasn't able to come to the meeting we had last week. He's in his 90s and still, but we want to leave him on there. His health's improving, and nobody knew exactly when he came on, but we'll just. Maybe we won't put it on here, but he's kind of a lifer. We appreciate Glenn very much, and he does a great job for us. So we need to add Glenn Halderman to the list.
Just add him or?
Well, yeah, he's not on this one. I've had him on others. Yeah, just add Glenn Halterman. And under term, I guess we can just put indefinite or something like that until I'll try to do some more. I tried to call him and couldn't get a hold of him, but he may know when he was first put on there, but he's continued, so. Okay, and then Iron County Special Service District number 3.
Did I go too far? I did.
There you go. Okay, Kim Evans and Brandon Hunter both agreed to fulfill another term. I'll make the motion that we approve another term for Kim Evans and Brandon Hunter on the Iron County Special Service District number 3 Administrative Control Board.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve Kim Evans and Brandon Hunter for another term each on the Iron County Special Service District number 3 Administrative Control Board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Let's see. Already did that one. Okay, the Bookmobile Library Board, when you get that one done. No rush. Let's see, April 25th. Oh,
Bookmobile?
yeah, Bookmobile. I'm getting close. Let's see. Okay. Pat Tompkins, I asked her if we had terms, and she says we don't have terms. She's just happy to have whoever will remain on the board. So the present board is K. Don Marr. Well, I think so. It is K. At least that's the way she put it. Yeah, K. Don, K-A-Y, instead of Ray Don. Perfect. Megan Bailey. I don't see up there.
Anyone coming off that you know of?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Let's start at the top. Okay, she can take Celestia Lyman off.
Okay, now who's the one you're adding then?
Megan Bailey. Okay, you can take off Amy Matheson. You can and put in her place Paula Hine. Paula's on there. Sorry. So put in that place Ashley Christensen.
Any idea on how to spell Ashley?
That's correct. Well, you've got it. Correct. Perfect. Okay, and then Faye Burns would be removed, and you could put Laurie Rigby in her place.
Spelling?
Laurie. No, correct. And Karen Snyder would be removed. And that's it. So, indefinite terms on that. So.
Okay, so do you want to?
I'll make a motion that we approve the following as the Bookmobile Library Board members: K. Don Marr, Megan Bailey, Paula Hine, Ashley Christensen, and Laurie Rigby, some of which have already been on there and will continue, and some who are new appointments.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Bookmobile Library Board as K. Don Marr, Megan Bailey, Paula Hine, Ashley Christensen, and Laurie Rigby. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, any other items for this meeting?
Yes, I need to talk about restaurant board.
Okay.
Give me 2 shakes, will you?
John. 3.
You got it. I guess I can come back to this.
You're good. Don't
let's
finish
take-
up so you don't forget.
Take Jill Schill. Yeah. Remove Jill Schill.
Jill needs to come off.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't say that.
Do you have?
Should have 5. 1, 2, 5 besides Pat. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's correct.
Oh. And so you. Restaurant board, you say?
Yes.
Oh, here, let's do this though. Okay.
Looks good.
Right. There. I need to replace Rusty Aiken with Dolly Wern.
You know how to spell her last
I
name?
think that's it. I'm fairly certain that's it.
Yep, that is it. Okay.
Is that the only change?
That's the only change I've got.
If you would make a motion.
Yeah, so I would move to approve Dolly Wern as a member of the Restaurant Tax Board.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve Dolly Wern as a member of the Restaurant Tax Board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Any other items for this agenda?
That was all I had.
Okay. Chair declares this meeting adjourned. Thank you all for your attendance and participation.
Thanks for coming and making that as least painful as possible.
That's the theory.